This episode of the National Squash League podcast is brought to you by Dakota. Like the National Squash League, Dakota moves fast. Built in Philadelphia, driven by precision, and focused on performance at the highest level. Dakota is a financial, software, data, and media company powering the global investment ecosystem. Their flagship platform, Dakota Marketplace, helps teams raise capital, source deals, track peers, and access comprehensive data all in one place. Just as the NSL connects elite players, teams, and fans to grow the game, Dakota connects the people and information that move markets forward. Since 2006, Dakota's mission has been simple: help others get what they want out of life. And they're changing the game by putting service first. Learn more at dakota.com. On today's National Squash League podcast, we have two new champions of the league. On the men's side, the Chicago Grizzlies took home the title, and on the women's side, the DC Inferno avenged last year's loss to take home the title. We have Spencer back in the studio to break it down. We have interviews with DC Inferno's Amanda Sobhy again, just as she promised, and Chicago Grizzlies' Simon Herbert, winningest player in NSL history. Get their reactions, talk about the celebration. Should have a great final episode of the NSL podcast. So without further ado, let's go. Welcome to the National Squash League podcast presented by Dakota, changing the way capital's been raised since 2006. Today is June 15th, 2026, and Spencer, two new champions, the Chicago Grizzlies, the DC Inferno. I think we got to give them a round of applause, respectfully.
We'll give them a round of applause.
People think that I'm not a good loser, but I am here to say that I'm happy for the city of Chicago, I'm happy for the city of Washington, D.C., and I'm happy for Bill Buckingham. Despite getting it wrong, his prediction, despite not sticking to his team, he can take off that brown paper bag, and he's officially an NSL champion.
Yeah, it's very gracious of you, BG, to be a good loser like that. You know, I think that you're proving a lot of the haters wrong out there. I think a lot of people thought you were going to come in today and, you know, you were going to be sour grapes. And I don't know, you might still be later on the podcast. We'll see how you react. But
I'm still processing.
I know it must have been an emotional weekend for you.
It was up, down. I mean, we'll get into the match. The match was up, down. It was a great match. There's so much to talk about with that. But, you know, it was very funny. When I was a kid, my dad said to me at one point, he was like, BG, like, show me a good loser and I'll show you a loser. And I thought that was his way of saying, like, hey, like, if you're a good sport, like, good things will happen to you, blah, blah. So in my mind, I internalized that at a young age. I was like, oh, like, be a good loser, like, be proud, you know, keep your head up high. But my dad was saying, no, a good loser is a loser, BG. How do you not know? So I literally realized that probably like 2 or 3 years ago. You know, it's ingrained in me now to be humble a little bit when I lose, but I'm still struggling.
Well, you know, I think it's normal, you know, to be disappointed, right? Obviously, you want to win, and everyone wants to win, but and there's that part inside of you that you know, wants to get back after it and get that W that you didn't get. So, you know, I think it's definitely important. Obviously, sportsmanship is so important to hold yourself accountable for. But you know, I think that desire is important too. So
and right, I was saying this to you before we started recording. We're exactly where we want to be. The Philadelphia Lightning are hungry again. Everyone's on notice. You know, I think I haven't spoken to Mohamed Abu Elgar. I think he's sad that he wasn't here. I know that not only is he going to have the new father strength come next year, but I think he's looking to keep his NSL record pristine, similar to John White. John White, you know, he hasn't said it publicly, but I think he's a little bit happy that he proved his value, and he's going to probably negotiate for a bigger contract this offseason because now that we've lost without him, he probably could say, hey, you need me. So we'll deal with that when we get there.
I think it's fair, but you know, it's good to hear that your boys are hungry to come back, and the season is moving up earlier as well, so you won't have to wait too long before you get back out there.
Yeah. So there's so much to talk about. You know, we're going to try and keep it buttoned up on each match and everything like that. But before we get started there, I want to say shout out to M Squash. I think they put together a fantastic event. I also want to give a shout out to Spencer. And Spencer, I'm going to give you another shout out later too as well. But you, Gabby, Jamie, Ashby, the whole NSL team, I think you guys put on a great week. I think this year moving up during the week was perfect. We were competing with the New York Knicks championship. We were competing with the World Cup, things we couldn't have foreseen. And despite all of that, I thought, you know, the energy in that M Squash building was amazing. So again, I'm going to give you a round of applause, Spencer. You guys did a great job. How did it feel? You know, as it was going on, did you guys survive? Did you sleep well at night, or is every night like, oh my God, what's going to happen tomorrow?
Well, firstly, thank you for giving us some credit for that. I mean, it was definitely a lot of work putting this event together. But, you know, that's what you got to do to run a great event. It takes a lot of hours. It takes a lot of meetings, a lot of logistical elements that need to be in line in order for it to look good, for it to present well. But I think overall the event went awesome. Like you said, the energy in the building, I thought the venue was perfect for it. Like you said, shout out to M Squash for all of the work they did. I mean, we were preparing for the event for months and months ahead of time. They got on top of that, the marketing campaign within their community, getting people to turn up and, selling tickets and making people aware that this is such a cool event that was happening just right, next door. We had the top players in the world fighting for the team championship. So it was really an awesome environment. I think over the 3 days, I think that you're right. We were competing with some other sporting events going on, but we did well. The fans brought the energy as well, which was great. To see people locked in, really getting into those matches, cheering for their favorite teams, supporting their favorite players, creating memories that hopefully they will never forget. And, the athletes, obviously, just so inspirational to all of us. So
it was very fun to see everybody giving it their all. I said this before, there was a small part of me that was thinking Saul would take the foot off the gas a little bit and would be a little easy and, preparing for the Squash Tour finals. But unfortunately, as Bill Buckingham predicted, we got the best version of Mustafa. Maybe part of the reason we lost. We'll talk about that later. I also, as you met my uncle Alec. Shout out Uncle Alec if he's listening.
Yeah, he was a legend. You could see his cogs turning. He was thinking about the league. He was like, "Oh, this is a great product you guys have here. I'm, any way I can help."
But he's great because he's not, despite my mom playing, his sister playing squash, he hasn't been to many squash matches. I think the last squash match he went to was 10 years ago. At my college senior year, he was at one of my matches, but he's not a squash fan. And to watch him in the NSL environment, he has obviously pretty much an unfiltered opinion of what was going on, and he was loving it. And so I think the energy that you guys put on there, shout out to, DJs and
Tucker,
and
DJ
Tucker and
Leslie, of course.
And Leslie, yeah, exactly.
I have to give a big shout out to Leslie. I thought his introductions and just overall emceeing was super sharp. It was very entertaining. He did a great job.
And he does it without paper. I got it now. If I'm emceeing again next year, I'm going to have to do it without paper. I'm going to try it.
Try and get on his level.
Yeah, I like doing a little.
It's hard. It's a lot of information. I find it very impressive how he just goes out there on the court and he just rattles off, all the sponsors, all the people, all the players, all the facts about the players without even looking at a piece of paper.
I know.
I think it's very impressive.
It makes me look like crap. So I gotta step up my game. Shout out to all those guys.
Definitely. There's so many, little thank yous to give out for the season. Obviously, I just want to quickly address all the thank yous, all the the supporters, the fans, the people that help us with our events, the MCs, the DJs, the scorekeepers, the referees.
They did great.
Obviously, the team owners, of course, who this would not be possible without, and then the players as well. I mean, the players, we could not have this league without the players and the efforts that they give on court. To put on the show that they do. So
and I think everyone is starting to, obviously as the season ends, everyone kind of gets a little nostalgic and thinks about the year, and I think everyone's starting to appreciate how much effort you put into this and all the little pieces of everyone. So it takes a village. You guys did great, and culminated with arguably the two greatest matches in NSL history. I'm going to leave it there. Let's get into the semis first. There's so much to talk about. We're going to try and keep it quick. We're going to go in chronological order. Starting with Wednesday, the New York Queens versus the Seattle Freeze. For those that didn't watch, we'll remind everyone the rosters. New York Queens, amazing roster. Feyrouz Ablakir, world number 7. Nardine Garas, world number 35. Noor Heikel, world number 40. Going up against Seattle Freeze, Tina Gillis, number 9. Maria Metwally, number 32. Hannah Craig, number 60. Both teams going into this match were 1-1 actually, which doesn't happen too often. And we'll get right into it. So again, I was there for this day, so I can at least talk about it. In the beginning, I thought this was going to be a runaway for the Queens. I think everyone had predicted a 4-0 win for the Queens. With key point. First period, let's get in the first period. Final score of the match, 3-1, New York Queens. First period, 32-31, Seattle Freeze. 50 seconds to go. The New York Queens are up by 4 points. And it's Maria Metwally versus Nardine Garas. I can't believe that Mary Metwally came back, but she did it the right way. She shot off the serve quickly, and I don't know if she was coached or if that's just what she does normally. Took a shot off the serve. 2 weird errors from Nardine. I don't think she needed to go for those shots. And then Metwally had a great cross-court drop, and then it was an untimed point, and she did it. And this doesn't happen. You don't get 5 points in 50 seconds anywhere, but Mary Metwally did it.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely the most exciting moment of this match in that first period. I would say massive shout out to Miriam Wally for keeping her composure during the last minute of that match where they were down, actually, and you could see that she just was kind of like, okay, we're down. I need to score X amount of points, and I need to do it quickly. So you could tell she pushed up the pressure a little bit, was going for that marginally little bit extra on her shots. But she was so calm in those moments. And it's so easy. I've been there. I've been there in some of these NSL matches, first two seasons I played, in the last minutes of the match or in the shootout or whatever. It's so easy to let the clock distract you towards the end of the match. But you could see, like, she was like, she knew what she needed to do. She knew she needed to stay focused, and she knew she needed to go for a little extra, and she did. And she hit her shots, she hit her spots, and she closed it out. And you could tell how much that meant to the Freeze winning that first period.
Well, because no one expected it, and I think to your point about the clock, I think for Nardine, unfortunately, I think the clock did get to her, and it was a little bit forced shots. And obviously, if you make it, you're a bit of a hero, and there were some people that took some shots and were heroes this weekend. But for Miriam, so much to say about Miriam. She was actually the best performer in this match, plus minus basis. I think she had a little bit of a knee injury that she was battling against, and then also, it's hard to forget that she 2 months ago at El Guna lost her dad during the tournament. I think obviously I can't imagine what that's like, and she still tried to play in some tournaments, and I think it was, for her, it was nice to see her have this amazing moment, and I was hoping that maybe it would carry forward to a win for the team. It obviously didn't, but super special, I think, for Miriam.
Definitely. No, it was awesome to see her out there playing well.
Yeah. So now to the second period. Second period went to the Queens, 39-22. This one got out of hand pretty quickly, and this is where Nardine, I think, made up for I think she was pissed at the end of the first period. She went 19-9, so a plus 10 in the second period. And I think it was mostly against, at the expense of Hannah Craig, who fortunately had a tough one, but Nardine, and I don't know if Coach Noran Gohar sort of coached her or what she said. I mean, it would be great to see, and maybe I should ask Noran at some point, like, what did you talk about in between those periods? But Nardine answered the bell after that.
Well, Nardine Garras is one of those players that no one really knew that much about going into this season. She hadn't played the NSL yet until the second match of the Queens season. And then she actually got player of the match for that second Queens match, even though she didn't play the first one. She was incredible on power play in their regular season match. And so I think that she really is one of the Queen's secret weapons. And she didn't play great in that first period, but she definitely made up for that second and put the Queens in good position to
take it home,
gain that momentum going into the third.
Yeah, and again, I think Jackson said on the broadcast, I think the average age of this New York Queens roster is like 22 years old.
They're a very young and up and coming team. So I mean, I think that they drafted well. Honestly, like this league, I think it rewards younger players. Honestly, like the young, hungry players who really want to make a name for themselves and are also able to like easily come off court, go back on court, like without much warm up. Like you see. Obviously, some of the players that are a bit older, they need some time to get the engine going a little bit more. But like these young girls, like they're just going straight out there, boom, like straight in from the first point they step on. It's just full on.
Yeah, there's a reason why the Atlanta Geriatrics were not in the playoffs this week. Just saying. And maybe it was Coach Pashley. Who knows?
Yeah, you gotta get Chad to take a look at his roster for next season, maybe.
I think Celia is an avid listener of this podcast, and I'm sure she's not expecting a stray here. Sorry, Celia, and to the Atlanta Geriatrics. Third and final period. Unfortunately, it was a bit of a runaway, 58-36 to the New York Queens. There was some part of the runaway was, I think Tina was shooting a lot in this period and trying to bring her team back. So these stats are a little, you got to take that into consideration. But Tina overall for the match, again, she was plus 36 in a regular season match. She was minus 17 in this match. Third period, she was minus 17 alone. So it's tough, but I thought the key moment, and unfortunately for Hannah Craig, who had been playing great squash up until this moment, she got picked apart a little bit in this match. Overall, minus 24, and she was a minus 8 in her third period shift, and I think that was sort of when the match got blown up for Seattle.
Yeah, I don't think it was the best match for Seattle overall. I think Miriam Metwally obviously had a very standout performance and helped keep them in it, but Tina and Hannah didn't have the best days on court. They their statistics were not quite as good as they needed to be on that day. And the Queens brought the fire, and obviously Noran Gohar hungry to be in that final competing in front of the home crowd. So
yeah, and Norton said at the end of the match too, like her team, I think they've lost every single first period this year in all their matches.
Slow starters.
Yeah, slow starters. I'm gonna check now. Even in they lost the first period in the final too. It's just, and I don't know what she says, but maybe it's good. They lose the first period, then Norton can lean into them, and then they respond.
That's just trying to get the tactics down and trying to find the winning strategy.
Yeah. So again, what New York did, some of the post-match notes, three or four power plays were used against Tina. I think that's another reason why her stats were what they were. She had 6 minutes of
I'm surprised by that because, to be honest, she's a very good defender. So right. I wonder why the Queens played so many power plays against her.
Yeah, actually, maybe I might have that wrong. She might have been 4 of 4, which is I think it was more just to keep the points away for
maybe defensive strategy.
Correct. Yeah. And so that's what we got. New York Queens, quick win, advance to the finals. And then the second match. Now we'll move on to the men's semifinal. Let's talk about your Newport Dragons.
What do you mean?
The people you said were going to win at the beginning of the year. I said they were a terrible team. I said they couldn't answer the bell. Going against the Chicago Grizzlies, as we said, the champs now. Let's talk about the rosters first. Newport Dragons, Yael Naswani, now world number 16 after his great and selfish British Open semifinal run. Timmy Brown, now world number 27, and Matthias Knudsen, world number 39. Versus the Chicago Grizzlies, Kareem Gawad, world number 4, Sam Todd, world number 36, Simon Herbert, world number 57. It's worth mentioning, Chicago Grizzlies overall for the year, this is an impressive stat actually, they were just a +1 on point differential between their 2 matches. So they almost got in by the slimmest of margins.
That is a very interesting stat.
Right?
But it also just goes to show that the NSL is all about who wins the most important points.
Correct.
And you could be negative overall, and you could still have won
because you won the big
national
points.
Championship. Exactly.
Yeah. So here it is. So in the regular season, Chicago won 4 of the 6 periods, and 3 of those periods that they won were decided by 3 points or fewer, and that includes both 3 third periods. So I think they the one against.
That's really interesting,
isn't it?
Yeah,
crazy?
and I think you have to give a lot of credit there to Kareem Abdel-Gawad, who is just so icy under pressure. I mean, you watch that guy walk, it just amazed me. It amazed me just what his aura that he has around the court. It's he's just so chilled out all the time. Even shootout, deciding point, just walks straight on, doesn't have any facial expression.
Yeah.
Just carries on and hits just the nastiest shots of all time. And that's exactly what he did in this match against Newport. Oh. He was unfazed by anything that Newport was doing, despite the score, despite the clock.
Exactly.
He was just so icy.
I was going to say, despite the score is important. And we're going to get into his key moments because he was obviously the MVP of this match and he is now the new NSL MVP. But let's talk about collusion. Spencer, everyone knows that you're a Newport guy. It's embarrassing almost that you don't even try and hide it. Now, you is one thing. Pat Kosker to have the gall to wear a Spencer Lovejoy old Newport Dragons jersey before the match and prancing around, hoity-toity, blah, blah, blah. It's unbelievable. Can you admit right now that there was collusion, obviously, and you were trying to get Newport to win?
I cannot. Obviously, there was no collusion at all. I'm sure Pat just reached into his shirt drawer and pulled that out randomly and just popped it on. He probably thought it was an El Shorbagy jersey or something like that. And then he probably turned up to the courts and then he realized that he was actually wearing the Lovejoy jersey. We got to put that pic. We had a great photo of me and Pat with the Lovejoy jersey on.
Great. So it was good. You're saying it's good for the league.
Oh, I mean, it's good to be throwing the relics in there and the old jerseys from the first season. Is throwback to good times.
And let's make sure we remember you get compensation. You personally get compensated when someone buys your jersey, right? And the players get compensated.
You do, yeah.
Okay, it's interesting. It's very interesting.
The players are entitled to that,
So to the match now that let's just say Chicago won 4-0. Collusion could not stop the Chicago Grizzlies whatsoever.
It couldn't.
Now, here's the key moment of the first period. So Chicago wins 26-21. Matthias Knudsen, great player, great power play, face of the NSL, some say. He goes up 16-3 after a power play in the first period. Have I told you about this already? Maybe I didn't.
I don't think so.
Matthias and I, we banter, and he knows that I am an anti-Newport guy. You go back to the stream and you watch at the end of his power play in the sub, 16-3, he's pointing to himself, he's pointing to the scoreboard, and he's pointing at me, and he's chirping me. He's letting me know that Newport is going to win, Newport is going to crush. yada, yada, yada. Then he wins the next one, goes up 17-3. Do you know how many points they won after that? Chicago went on a 23-4 run after Matthias Knudsen had the gall to talk down to me.
So do you think Matthias kind of jinxed the team there with that?
No, Matthias jinxed the team. Matthias lost it mentally because of me. He couldn't handle the moment. He couldn't handle the pressure.
So you're taking credit for the win.
I was in his head. Chicago Grizzlies should give me a ring for what I did to Matthias Knudsen.
All right, we'll talk to Chicago. We'll get you a ring for that. Because, yeah, you never know. I mean, if they had won that period, it could have gone downhill for Chicago. But
Because that's what happened. 17-3. Then there's the power play. Sam Todd gets 7 points on the power play. Oh no, he only got 3 points. But I think he won. Matthias comes off the court at 17-10, exhausted, dead. He looks at me. There's nothing in his eyes.
Oh yeah, I mean Matthias he emptied the tank. And
against Herbert.
I mean, to be fair, he did incredible. I mean, that was an incredible start from Newport to go up 17-3. It was a hot start.
Sure. Yeah.
It was a hot start. But you know, it's true. You know, you as a player, you can't be fazed by the trash talk.
Yeah, Spencer. You know what they say? A dog that pees fast does not pee long. You know, and Matthias is not that dog. Philadelphia Lightning, dogs. Kareem Gawad down 17-10. Wins 6, to your point, hard points. He comes on unfazed, being down 7 points. Not phased going against Yaya Al-Naswani, who just robbed him of a British Open semifinal, which, jury's still out. I still think Gawad threw that just so he could be the NSL MVP, but that's neither here nor there. 6 hard points. Newport has to call a timeout. Coach Pat Kosker did well there. We do have an issue with Pat Kosker later that we're going to talk about. His first coaching mistake of his career. But Gawad gets those 6 hard points, and then he runs away with the first period. I think it looks like 16-4.
Yeah, I mean, that
16-4.
That was a crazy run. A crazy run after being 17-3 there, 17-3 down, and that's exactly what I was mentioning before with Kareem Abdel-Gawad. He'll just walk on court no matter what the scenario is, and he'll just do his work. Yep. And that's exactly what he did. 10-17 down, 6 points in a row, got them back to even, and Yaya El-Nawasani did not look like he was enjoying himself out there in that final bit of that match. And there was a timeout towards the end.
Yep.
Newport brought him off, kind of talked to him, like, tried to get him to turn the engine on, like fire it up a little more, but he could not figure out a solution for what was being thrown at him at the end of that period.
I think Yaya winning at the British Open was the worst thing that could have happened to the Newport Dragons, besides Matthias Knudsen trying to trash talk me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that in a way you're right, because he, I think after beating a player like that, obviously it's amazing for Yaya, amazing win, like, to go to the semifinals of the British Open, but it takes a lot out of you. Yeah. And I think Gawad stepped on that court and he was like, no way, buddy. Like, sorry, you're not beating me again. It's not happening today. So
it was amazing. So anyway, 26-21 to the Chicago Grizzlies. Now we move to the second period. 25-23 for Chicago. Key moment is, Timmy. I will give Timmy a lot of credit here. Timmy had an amazing. He steps on with Gawad. He did do well with Gawad at the World Champs. Lost 3-1, and I think Gawad had a pretty comfortable lead. I forget what it was. I think it's 2 or 3 points. Timmy gets it back. 24-23, final point. Bit of a loose ball from Gawad. Timmy goes and asks for a let, and he gets a no let. Some people look at it and say, criminal no let, very hard. But for what it's worth, at 15-16 down, if you go back and watch the stream, for those out there, and Timmy, I know you're listening. Timmy, go back and watch. At 15-16 down, it's the exact same ball, and it's the exact same call, no let. We talk about in the squash world how we crave consistency. Sorry, Timmy. It was a consistent call. Steve did what he did. A shout out to the refs. I said the refs did a great job all weekend. Hope, great job. Got to play that ball.
For sure. I mean, you can obviously go and talk about the ref decisions and which way they fell, and there are always going to be variants. But I thought the refs were pretty consistent throughout the entire weekend. I thought they did a great job. Shout out to Steve and to Hope. Hope I thought was fantastic in the final. Especially. She held her nerve during like the tensest moments and just was totally confident. So yeah, but yeah, shout out to both of them. I thought they're both great referees. Right. But yeah, I mean, Timmy did. He fought so hard in that second period to put Newport in a position to come back after that kind of disappointing loss of the first period that they should have won. They'll like Newport.
Whoa, what?
Well, I think Newport will look back and they say we should have won that period after being a 17-3 up. It's hard not to.
Sure.
It's hard
Never
not
a
to.
doubt, though.
You know?
You can't talk smack, Matthias.
No, I mean, look, regardless of if Matthias talks smack or not, they lost the period, but I would say Newport definitely should have won that period. I would say the second period, obviously 50-50 could have gone either way.
Right.
Just didn't fall Newport's way in that second period. So.
You know what I say? Newport got what they deserved. 4-0 smacking. No questions, no doubts. Kareem Gawad, MVP, so good. So good.
Yeah, there's a reason that Gawad is the MVP. He is a class. He's absolutely class,
yes.
And he showed that day. I mean, that was all that match. The entire match was all Kareem Abdel-Gawad. Chicago. Third period straight away. What are your thoughts on the third period?
Third period. So this is very important. So Chicago won the final period 41-33. And I saw that as, again, a message from the squash gods saying, BG, you were right. Because 41-33 is a very important number to me as a Philadelphia sports fan. Do you know why?
It's the Eagles' championship winning score in the 2017-2018 Super Bowl.
People. Oh wait, no, I sent that to you. Damn, I forgot I gave you my notes.
I would have never known that unless I read your notes before.
It's so good. It's just
that is incredible though. That is incredible.
The beauty and I'm not going to get that in a regular squash match.
No, definitely not.
But that is that was the team of underdogs that no one expected to win, and maybe I should have taken that as a sign in that moment that Chicago was on the path to glory. But the key moment, 41-33, the key moment, and this is, Pat Kosker, shout out. As I've always said, any success that the Newport Dragons had this year was because of Pat Kosker. I think Coach Pat lost the script a little bit here. His strategy has constantly, all season long, been, call the power play, call a timeout, or if the power play gets called against him, give Matthias a timeout.
Well, I think that Newport had a very distinctive strategy throughout the season that maybe Chicago kind of exposed them here a little bit. And it kind of, it almost worked in the first period there. Yeah. And their strategy was, I think we can talk about it now, but, they put Timmy on first to try and really get build a little bit of a lead, get into the legs of their opponents. Yep. And then they throw Matthias on for that power play to try and elongate the lead. Right. And then they use Yaya to finish off the period and to eat the clock. But when you have a squad like Chicago in players like Kareem Abdel-Gawad, who, he really had an answer to that strategy. And I think that they maybe needed to consider some different matchups maybe on that day in order to combat that.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Todd did a great job in this match. He was a +10 by the end. He just gave really, really solid minutes to these guys. But again, I think what good coaching does is you're able to adjust on the fly. And in that moment, what happened in the third was Chicago used a power play against Matthias. I think it was just to get Simon some play and whatnot. And Simon only scored 1 point. Matthias did a great job defending, and he wanted the power play immediately because Simon was heavy in the legs. Instead, Pat Kosker called a timeout, which allowed Simon to recover, relax. Matthias still went out there and got 6 points on the power play right after. So
I do remember this, and I remember thinking this was an interesting call because you could tell Matthias wanted to go straight into the power play. He
was like, go.
And Pat was like, no, we're going to chill for a second. So I agree with you that maybe not the best play call there.
I think Matthias could have. It's shocking Matthias doesn't have the power play points record. He does average 5 to 6 points. He definitely has the highest average, I'm sure, if I really crunch the numbers, but he could have easily gotten 10, 11 points. Again, reminding of our final last year, Abu Elgar got his record 10 points power play against a tired Bernard Jaum. And I think that was really what
I mean, if you call it at the right time, you can really open up a big lead. So, I guess we'll never know how many points Matthias might have scored on that power play, but
I guess we'll never know.
But, it wasn't 6 points. It just was not quite enough to bring them back in that third period. Chicago obviously built a good lead and they were able to ride it out. And, Timmy went on at the very, the final moments of that period. And you could tell he was really pushing to try and salvage, the last minutes and, but it was just too much of a lead to surmount. Right.
So Chicago advances to the finals 4-0, ding dong. The witch is dead. Newport Dragons gone. No surprise.
Well, Newport will be back, BG. And Newport does have a special place in my heart. I have to admit it. It's it's the team I played for 2 years. Those guys are, they're good people up there, right. And
they'll learn.
It is what it is. My bracket was busted, but we still had some great matches, so that's all that matters.
And it would be so much sweeter to transition to this match if it went to the right way, but unfortunately now we have to transition to Philadelphia Lightning versus the Greenwich Panthers. It was let's talk about the Panthers roster.
Do you need some tissues before we start here? You
know what? When you're going against world number 1, Mustafa Sol, world number 19, Gregor Marsh, world number 20, Dimitri Steinman, it's going to be a challenge. Everyone knows that. Did I think we were going to win? Yes, obviously. You got to have confidence in your boys. I thought we were going to outsmart. We were also down Coach John White. He wasn't there. Shout out to Greenwich, Luke Butterworth and Mark Broekman. They were, it was funny. I was there Wednesday.
They're a strong coaching squad for sure.
I was there Wednesday night, and most of the Greenwich team was there. I told my guys, hey, take care of yourselves, do whatever you want. They were talking strategy. They were doing everything. I mean, they were very into it, Spencer. I mean, these guys, it was very serious. I texted the guys. I was like, guys, these guys are going to be buttoned up. They're not going to give you any mistakes. They know the strategy. Just be ready. And they were ready for the moment. And our guys, I think we played very well. There was a couple points I'd like back, but I think our coaches, shout out to Noel Heaton and Fritjof Jakobsen, I think they did everything John White would have done. I don't hang around the bench much during the match just because it's just better. We've been 6-0 before that, so why change what's not broke? But every single time I thought I would want to call a timeout, Noel did it.
I mean, I think it'd be easy to say, Lightning were missing John, and that could have affected, but
who's saying
they could have affected things. But I actually thought that Noel and Frito did a really good job managing the minutes, managing the decisions. I thought that they mostly did things right on the day. Given Greenwich just played an awesome match. It was a great match overall. Yeah. Every period was close. Every period came down to the last couple of minutes. There were no big leads ever, really, except for you guys kind of pulled away in the second period. But first period incredibly close, third period incredibly close. Both of them could have flipped either way. It was just really good quality stuff.
Again, just talk before we dive into it. Like I really don't think there was any coaching mistakes. I love to be Monday quarterback and pick out coaching mistakes. I think both teams did a great job. All players did a fantastic job. There was just some opportunities where the Lightning missed out, and it is a game of inches. Every NSL is just really, really, it is what it is. But anyway, our Lightning roster: Marwan El-Shorbagy, world number 9, world number 48, Nathan Lake, world number 63, Nick Wall. Going into it, it's very interesting. Philadelphia 6-0, obviously, including playoffs. Greenwich 1-3 as a franchise going into this match.
Yeah.
So take it for what it's worth, but this was obviously Greenwich full power playing their third match together. So going into the first period, Greenwich took it 21-20. It was a little unfortunate. Again, Lightning had the lead 18-16 with 3.5 minutes left. We saw, and it was very interesting, but all teams did double subs in the first period. We get Nathan Lake out there, 18-16. If we just got one of the first 2 points, it would have been great, but Gregor did a great job and really put the pressure on. And at the end, what I will say to Gregor, and Greenwich does this later as well, is Gregor won. People say, did the Lightning or did the Greenwich win the match, or did Lightning lose the match? It's lame, but Greenwich really won it. Like Gregor took the shots. He wasn't soft. He wasn't waiting for Nathan to make an error or anything. He really took it all. His last 3 winners, all pristine. Yep. Inch perfect, and that's what it takes to win.
No, for sure, 100%. It was not a fluke in that first period. No. Gregoire on the court against Nathan Lake for the final minutes reminded me of the second period they played against Newport earlier this season, where it was Gregoire versus Timmy,
right.
And Gregoire won the final couple of points of the period. He went for his shots in those moments. He did not hold back. He did not get tight, and that's how you want a period to end. You want it to end, with winners,
right.
Not with decisions, not with errors. So that was a great first period win for Greenwich, and they earned it.
And what I thought was going to happen was, shades to last year in the semifinals. If you remember, first period, Nathan Lake versus Mohamed El-Shorbagy, final sudden death point, and I was like, Nathan's on court. Nathan's going to do it again. The score of that period last year, weirdly enough, was 22-21. This year it was 21-20, except the Lightning were on the wrong side of it, and it was an inch. I think right before that final point, Nathan went for it, and he clipped the tin by inches. And I really do think if that had gone the other way, this match would have turned out different. But
yeah, No, I remember that one. There's a great photo of Nathan fist pumping and Sherbagi like pointing at the referee.
Yeah. But again, we'll talk more about these players' emotions and what the NSL Finals brings out of them. But Gregor deserves all the praise. I think he was honestly the MVP of this match to a certain degree. I mean, he was technically a -6, but he did have a tough power play in third. Neither here nor there. Let's go to the second period.
Yep, on to the second.
Like you said, the Lightning did take it 26-19 pretty comfortably. The key moment was Marwan power play. And Marwan was our power play specialist this week. And he did a really good job. I think if you look at it, he got 22 points on 8 minutes of power play. That's really
that's
good.
That's good. I mean, that's very, very solid performance.
Like 4.5.
4 power plays. I mean, 22 points. That's do the math. It's about
that's 5. It's 5 points. 5 points of power play.
Yeah, I mean that's
Matthias Knudsen numbers.
That's very, very solid numbers for the power play for Marwan El Sherbagi. So he's a very adaptable player. Yeah. I think he has a lot of skills that he can bring to the table. Mm-hmm. And not having Abu Elgar, who is obviously your power play guy, he had to take on that role. Yeah. And I thought he did a good job.
He did a really good job. And again, shout out to Noel Heaton. We were up 11-7, and that's when Noel decided. And we usually actually reveal. John likes to sometimes let the other team call a power play first, so we don't blink first. But Noel called it at the right time. Gave us a 10-point cushion and allowed us to sort of ease in comfortably at the end. Where Saul took on Nick Wall. I was a little nervous, but Nick did a great job. And so we took on the second period.
Yeah, I thought it's interesting from Greenwich not saving a Saul. Mm-hmm. For kind of the final portion of that period.
They did. He did finish, but the lead
right.
was
No, I was saying like I thought it was interesting that they saved him for that final portion of the period because I would have maybe put him on earlier, given that the Lightning had built a little bit of a lead.
Yeah.
I would have put him on before that lead got too far away. Right. I would have tried to maybe put him on second in that period to try and come back. But I thought given the matchups. The Lightning played a pretty textbook period there.
Correct. Yeah, Nolan Ferdolf did a great job. And that brings us to period number 3. Unfortunately, I'm not going to say ding dong, the witch is dead here. It was the nail in the coffin for the Philadelphia Lightning.
Your first loss, BG.
First loss. And
first loss. How does it feel?
I
know you're not done processing.
I'm still processing.
It's hard for you.
But to be honest, it's a bit of relief. It's hard to be the only undefeated in the league. If you really look at the numbers still, we have an 86% winning percentage. The next highest is 67. So we're still far and away the best franchise in NSL history. Not disputable as far as I see it. Again, we were down our coach. We were down our best player. We gave the Greenwich Panthers everything they could handle. We had won more points than Greenwich. It's only the third time in NSL history that the team that won more points did not win the match, on the men's side at least. It happens on the women's side a little bit more. I'm very proud of my players. It's easier to lose knowing you did everything you could. You did everything right. You missed a couple inches, a couple shots here and there, and that's all it took. And so if there is a way to lose to arguably the best, people called it the best roster in NSL history, that's the way to lose. And, you like you said, this match easily could have been ours.
I totally agree. I think that you guys went down swinging.
Yeah.
And everyone's got to lose at some point. I mean, it hurts, but it's all about what you do to respond to it.
Yeah, it's what you do. And like I said, I'm already back in the draft room. I'm already planning things out for next year's match. I'm already figuring out who we're gonna add, what we're gonna do. But like I said, I still love this roster. If I have the full roster, and even again, shout out Nick Wall, shout out Nathan.
Yeah, we didn't mention Nick Wall at all yet. I mean, we'll mention him in the third period here, but. I thought Nick Wall played really well throughout the match. I thought he did his role really well. He killed a couple power plays really well. And didn't allow. I think he had a couple power plays against Asal, and there was one power play where
in the third he got crushed,
where Asal really went away with it. But overall, I thought he did well to manage his portion of the match.
In the first period, he held Dimitri Simon to 1 point, which was huge for him. And before the third period, he was very steady. Taking an assault power play deep in the third period is tough.
No, definitely. He's one of the guys you definitely don't want to get onto power play against.
Yeah, exactly. But the key moment, Assault gets subbed on with 5 minutes left against El Sherbagi. Lightning have a 31-27 lead. They call the power play. Greenwich ties it up 31-all. And in my mind, again, I'm going back to the Newport Newport match of last year. I'm going to the Atlanta match. I'm going to all these, even the New York match. Marwan has been the MVP. Marwan has been Mr. Clutch. He finally met his match. It took the world number one playing his best to take down Marwan El-Shorbagy and the Philadelphia Lightning. And like I said, if you're going to go down, that's the way to go down. And Marwan, this, like Gregor Marsh, and again, I don't know if this is coaching, Asal earned every point that he got. He took it in short at the right time. He set up the point perfectly. And you tip the cap to Greenwich.
No, 100%. I mean, it was awesome to see Asal playing well out there, and you could tell he's just enjoying the way he was playing. He was obviously playing really hard and creating incredible shots. But you could also tell there was a little bit of this is awesome. I love being able to be the guy out here during the final minutes.
Yeah.
Taking on Marwan, who's obviously another legend of the game.
Correct.
And he has been so clutch in the final minutes of all of your matches. You talk about Atlanta earlier in the season. Mm-hmm. You talk about Newport from last year against his brother.
Yep. That's great.
Those were amazing performances from Marwan, and he did meet his match here. But great to see Asal at his best. And after the match, it was a great interview with him and Ryan Leslie, the MC, him talking about how much fun he was really having out there, how he was this was actually the first time that he's really enjoyed playing squash in a long time. Because I can imagine there's so much pressure on him playing the PSA World Tour, always being, the target, having the target on his back. Mm-hmm. But he was just kind of able to play freely, enjoy his squash, and play for the team, which, I think that Asal is really a great team player in essence. He loves soccer.
Correct.
He plays soccer or football. Sorry for the Europeans.
Yeah.
He plays that in his free time. He loves changing it up and doing other things. So I think that this format really excites him in that team format aspect.
And you can see, again, I will give Mark Broekman and Luke Butterworth, and even Stephanie Borges, that they have a good team culture there. Like I said, they were there Wednesday talking and strategizing. I think culture matters. And again, it's a good segue into the DC team, but DC has a great culture. And I think when you can get to that point where the players are playing for not just themselves and they turn around and celebrate with their team, Marwan does that with our guys as well. And it's super important.
It's amazing to see all of the players on the bench getting behind their players and the coaches and everything. When those teams come together as a unit, that's really a special thing. Right. So it's awesome that we've been able to get to that point with a lot of our teams now that have had players playing for them over a couple of seasons, not just one season but 2-3 seasons now. And that's the kind of bond that is a really, really cool thing to see.
Totally. So segue now to the final semifinal match. The Sono Sharks, the host Sono Sharks.
My pick to win.
Your
Sono Sharks.
pick to win.
Against your pick to win.
Against my pick to win, the DC Inferno. And again, I have realized, I forget after our Fayrouz interview, I sort of was I want the New York Queens. But then I switched back to DC. And we'll talk about later how we know that's a fact.
This might be a good time, actually, BG, to congratulate you on winning the bracket challenge. Number one in something, at least, this weekend.
You know what? Lemons don't lose. That's just a fact. I have not lost yet in the NSL Finals in anything. Last year I thought losing the Pro-Am was. If you look at all the, at the draft last year, I won the doubles Pro-Am. Obviously the Lightning were undefeated up to this point, so I got a couple division crowns. Yes, so there was about 70 participants in the NSL.
Yeah, it was good.
Finals
70 participants.
But you know what that leaves? 69 losers and 1 winner. And you know what? It had to be me. There's never a doubt.
Yeah, and
my only wrong picks were the Philadelphia Lightning.
You had 55 points in the bracket challenge, and you actually tied for first with the ultimate bracket.
Do we know who that is?
We don't know who that is. He's another NSL fan, obviously a faithful NSL fan.
What's his bracket name called?
The ultimate bracket.
All right, the ultimate bracket. If you're listening to this and you DM me at glemon3, I will give you as well. I know I get some NSL gear. I will buy you not only Philadelphia Lightning hat, Philadelphia Lightning sweatshirt, and a Philadelphia Lightning shirt, but I will let you have a free ticket to our home match next year wherever you are. So you have to make sure you message me, and we'll find a way to confirm who you are because I don't want a bunch of DMs.
We'll find the ultimate bracket, and we'll let him know that the offer is on the table. But you do win free NSL merch for winning, so you get more of that, which is adding to your ever-growing collection of merchandise over the BG Lemon household.
If it's not a ring, it's not staying. Are you going to give me a ring for this?
I don't know if
then
we
it's
can
not.
afford
Then
that.
it's not. We at the Philadelphia Label, it's a culture. The standard is the standard.
Ring or go home.
Ring or go home. And we went home, unfortunately. And this is, for my players that are listening, I would rather have lost this bracket challenge and won the NSL Finals than be this winner of the bracket, where I did have the DC Inferno
Yeah, I think
winning.
that's a fair take.
So as I was going to say later, but yeah, the DC Inferno, I knew we were going to win the whole time. Said it last week. I knew Amanda Sobhy was going to do it. Never a doubt.
Yeah,
and I knew Sono was going to lose.
Going into their roster here, obviously having Amanda, Jazz, and Noah.
Shout out Noah.
Shout out to Noah, who held her own and played really, really well throughout the entire weekend. Again, showing why the NSL format is so special, where you can have two top players and then a lower ranked player, but you can still put on a really, really good team performance. And as we've seen, the eventual champions. That's where I had some worries for DC going into the weekend, and I didn't know how they were going to manage Noah's performance, obviously being the weaker of the three players. Yep. But I thought her attitude was awesome. She was super competitive. Yep. She would go on court with the girls that were ranked ahead of her, and she took the bull by the horns. She competed hard. She got got so many balls back, was sliding around. Yep. The effort levels were 110%. Yeah, she was the first example, I've said this, where I feel like in the women's side we have yet to see somebody ranked beyond 50 sort of be able to keep up with people in the top 20, let alone top 10. And Noah did that not once but twice. We'll talk about the New York Queens match, but she did brilliant. She was brilliant. Yeah, let's get into this one though, because this was a very interesting match actually. When you get into it, obviously Sono being the home favorites,
right,
and DC being the kind of they were the finalists last year. They're hungry to get back into the finals, fighting for that championship and try and overcome this home favorite here. BG, run us through what happened here in the first period.
Yeah, so first period went to DC 32-26. Sort of a back and forth. Jazz actually had a bit of a tough period, but I said that the key moment here was Noah Romero's shift against Margot Prow. She went on at 17-11. DC was up 17-11, and then she won 8 points, lost 3, and that was DC took a 11-point lead, and that was all they really needed. Both teams had sort of held on to their power plays, and DC did make a little bit of a run at the end against Jazz, and maybe Jazz was saving up, but Noah, to her credit, I say is the reason why they won this first period.
Yeah, I think you have to give a lot of credit to Amanda for the hot start that they got. Amanda came out firing, yep. And she got off to a really big lead against Salmahani, who's yep.
Obviously
one of the better players in the NSL on the women's side.
Mm-hmm.
So she built a good lead, but yeah, I would agree. Noah had a great shift midway through the period to keep that lead and give DC a good cushion going into the final moments of that period.
Yeah. And then, so now going to the second period, the DC Inferno won 38-36. Very close. And now this was, again, an interesting situation where Margot Prout was the weak link on the Sono Sharks. I didn't even get to the roster, but Salmahani, Marina Stefanoni, Margot Prout. But Margot Prout was at her home court at M Squash in Sono, so it was exciting to see her and her.
It was great as well.
The kids were there.
The team spirit, kind of the juniors. They were handing out these shark glasses for the juniors to wear, and every time Margot would score a point, they would go crazy for her.
Yeah.
So it was cool, cool home atmosphere.
It was very, and again, so the big moment here. There's maybe a couple. The first, this is a shout out to. Now we're on Josh Taylor, coach of DC Inferno. Mark Brokeman. It's hard to keep him in chat because he was working for two teams, one of the men, one of the women. But Jazz went down 4-10 to Margot, and they call a power play. And Jazz Hutton set an NSL record for this year for most points in a power play. She got 10 points. 10 points on
Margot.
Margot.
Was that the women's record?
No, the women's record is held by Amanda Sobhy. Shout out MVP. Last year she got 11 in the NSL Finals. But this was, I would say that one last year was against a tired Melissa Alves, and it was they were heading to the shootout, so she kind of mailed it in. And this was serious. Jazz needed to bring the team back, and so that was huge. And then Amanda Sobhy was the other key moment. She was down 27-24, came back onto the court. And again, she and Marina Stefanoni have had 2 unbelievable semifinal matches now in the U.S. Women's Nationals. And there's they're fine, they're friends and whatever, but there's a bit of a rivalry between them. And for Amanda to come back down 3 points and to help win, had a +5 on that shift alone. Amanda Sobhy needs her flowers for that period.
Definitely. No, she was icy at the end of that period against Marina.
Yeah.
Marina played some minutes in this match. We'll get into that in the third period, but she put in some minutes. And, tough for Sono not to win that second period, knowing obviously the pressure would have to shift into the third period and they would have to win that period in order to stay alive. But props to Amanda Sobhy for, really putting the team on her back at the end of the period.
Yep. But then, now going to the third period. Crazy third period. 50-49. I feel like I got to go back in history. I feel like women's periods are never this close up until the end. And it looked like it was going to be a blowout. It looked like Sono was going to blow them out of the water. I was sort of like, oh my God, this is terrible. I think they went down 23-6 at one point after a Stefanoni power play.
And this is where things really got interesting here, because at the end of that third period, you could kind of tell that, at the end of that second period, you could kind of tell that Salma was not playing great. She was clearly hampered by some type of injury. Yeah. She wasn't moving her best. And I think, was doubtful whether she would actually even play in that third period or not.
Yeah.
She, I think, only played about 2 or 3 minutes in this third period.
I should look that up.
And she only had one shift about like midway through this third period,
and it was 6 points.
Yeah,
total.
And played a couple of points and then went off. So it was obviously Marina who had to play the bulk of this third period.
Yeah.
With some shifts from Margot in between to kind of give her a little bit of a breather and whatnot. But I think Marina kind of knew that what was happening with the team and kind of knew that she had to rise to the occasion. Yep. And that's what she did at the beginning of that period. She was so sharp, and she got them off to this 23-6 lead, which was huge.
Yep.
In the start of the period.
And then they came back, that's my key moment. Marina Stefanoni came on with 11 minutes remaining, which we always say. Normally 7-8 minutes, 10 minutes.
Right, she had to play some massive shifts. I mean, she played a really long shift at the beginning of this third period.
And at the end.
And at the end of the period.
Yeah.
So she played 2 massive shifts. Gave me shades of Melissa Alves from the DC match earlier this season, where she basically played the entire first period.
Yep.
And you could tell by the end she was gassing out. You could see Marina was gassing out by the end of this third period, but she was pushing so hard to keep the Sono Sharks in this.
Yeah, and I said this, to do that. I said this. Marina was the MVP. She almost did that last year as well in the playoffs. Marina to do this in the third period when she already has so many minutes in her legs, knowing that Salma's injured again. I hope Salma's okay and fine.
Yeah, I think she was dealing with some sort of quad injury. I saw her kind of banging on her quad. She went to see the physio to get a little massage in between between shifts. But unfortunately, she wasn't able to come back kind of in that in that same capacity that we're used to seeing her on court.
Yeah. So, but anyway, it came down to the final point, 49-all, and Marina found the nick on the sidewall to take home the period. Nice, loud cheers from the crowd.
Yeah, it was epic the way that period finished. Just kind of the way that there were so many lead changes. It was always within 2 points at the very end, and Marina just pushing so hard to try and get over the line. So that was a really, really cool finish, and also just highlights how these nuances of the format. And then if you have one player that's kind of a little bit hampered, it is possible to change the strategy and figure out a way to manage that with the players that you have available.
Yeah.
This was our first shootout of the weekend here.
First shootout of the week, and again, there was only one shootout between the men and women all year, and it was Louisville and Nashville, and we had 3 shootouts this week. We'll talk. Was this fixed, Spencer? Did you purposely make sure that the NSL Finals had 3 shootouts, or what's going on here?
It was not fixed.
Is this for ratings?
It was not fixed in any way, And people keep asking me this. They're like, "Are you guys scripting these matches? What's going on? Is this like WWE where you guys just make up what happens and you tell the players and then they?" But I kid you not, this just happens in the NSL, and this is the beauty of the league and our format, and it's what everyone's rooting for. At the end of the day, everyone wants the match to go to a shootout. It's so exciting. It's so high pressure, to see these players, the pace and you can just tell the adrenaline just
it kind of goes to
skyrockets.
It becomes like PSA points too, which isn't a bad thing. Like the long rallies up and down, and there's no so it was kind of a nice transition. I feel like for me, that's what I noticed was it did look more like PSA points, but they have one shot, both of them.
Right. Well, when you're just playing 1 point, you want to make it count, and you don't want to make the wrong decision, right? Correct. So you can see that the players are obviously waiting. They'll play that extra shot because they're not quite sure that they. I mean, well, you'll see some players just go for it because that's how they play. Like, Simon Herbert will, just, or a Perry Malik will just go for a reverse post off the back wall or something like that. But I think most of the time you'll see the players, really get into, these longer rallies of, but high pace, like, but really feeling each other out and just making sure they get that good opportunity before they go for it.
Yeah. So get into the shoot. So especially, I also have to ask. There was some confusion amongst the group. I always thought it had to go 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2. It looks like there was some tomfoolery.
So this, to be honest, we may have made a mistake here or whatnot. But this was what we were allowing all teams to do this, and this is how it's intended to be. I can't remember how it's written in the rule book right now.
Right.
But how it's intended to be is you can play whatever order you want. As long as you just can't repeat players until everyone's played once. Right. That's how it works in a soccer penalty shootout. You don't have to send your best players out there. It's within your interest to play your best player twice if you can, but you can play your players in whatever order you want.
I like that.
Until
that makes more sense.
Like even, so you could go, you don't have to go Amanda, Jazz, Noah, Amanda, Jazz, because I mean, for me, I feel like that's just kind of boring because you know exactly which player is going out. Yeah. There, the crowd had no idea which player was going to play at what time. Yeah. They could have gone Noah, Jazz, Amanda. They could have gone Amanda, Jazz, Noah. Right. They could have gone Jazz, Noah, Amanda. They could do whatever they want. But as long as
no player plays 2 points in a row,
exactly. Once, until each player has played once, then the next players can repeat.
Yeah. Got it.
But that's how the rule is intended. Maybe there was a miscommunication in the rule book or the wording or something, but that is how the rule is intended to be.
Epic. So anyway, not going too much detail into all of these. The only thing I want to highlight about it, so obviously, so DC wins 3-2. We can talk about the final point, but I want to have to highlight here is because everyone said I was too nice to Amanda on my interview with her and things like that. Amanda went 0 for 2 in the shootout. I mean, what?
Yeah.
with the first one going against an injured Samahani, and Amanda talks about it in my interview with her. Like, she's like, I was so pissed because she hits the back wall. It's like an under 11 mistake.
Yeah, that was crazy. It was like a cross court that just kind of went like kind of maybe bounced out weird or something, and then she totally whiffed it. But I think that, that's the shootout. That's a high pressure situation. Sometimes, I mean, I've been there. I had a terrible error last season. I put one straight into the floor. Yeah. But it's just like, sometimes you're feeling the nerves and you just make a mistake like that, and it is what it is. So
yeah. And so again, based on Sama's injury, if Sama was truly injured, would Margot have done better against Jazz in that final point? I don't know, but Jazz had a great little trickle boast up front, and it was funny. Jazz didn't know that was it, but shout out to Jazz. She won her 2 points, and shout out to Noah Romero, who also, won her point off a stroke, which is very interesting.
After the match, it was funny because Ryan did an interview with Jazz, and she was saying, I didn't even realize. I was so in the moment, I didn't even realize it was the final point. Right. So it would have been cool to see, because I think if she knew it was the final point, she would have really, but she was so locked in. Yeah. Obviously, she maybe didn't want to feel those nerves. So it was probably better for her performance.
Yeah. So DC wins shootout 3-2, punches their ticket to the final. Now let's go to the finals.
The final, BG.
Championship Friday.
That's right.
The first final was New York Queens versus DC Inferno, which ironically was the first match of the women's season and is the last match of the season. When they played earlier in the season, right now the rosters were pretty similar. DC trades out Rachel Arnold for Amanda Sobhy, and Rachel Arnold for Noah Romero, and the Queen.
No, I think it was actually
Rachel Arnold for Amanda.
Rachel Arnold for Amanda, because the first match was Rachel, Jazz, and Noah.
Noah, yeah, okay. I thought I had that right.
Yeah.
And then the Queens trade out Tessie Murphy for Nardine Garas. I've always said I love the all Egyptian team for New York Queens. And in that first matchup, also the New York Queens won 3-1, and they won with a plus 27. So it was pretty handy. It was at open squash, never a doubt. And we can't forget that DC lost 3-0 in the shootout in the finals last year.
Yep. I think this is totally different match with Amanda playing. Totally. And she showed why she is the NSL MVP of 2026 in this these two matches, not just this match, but the semifinal as well. But I think with that increased attacking ability and kind of leadership as well from Amanda, I think that the leadership of her being on the team just helps overall.
Right.
Just kind of being on the bench. I just think she kind of inspires the rest of the team to really like, take the bull by the horns and like I could see her on the bench like talking to Noah, like telling her like, oh, like in this moment you should do this, and which is really cool for a younger up and coming player to get that experience with a more experienced, like a player who's been on the tour
Sobhy.
Playing, and Amanda Sobhy, US
years.
number one. Really cool for them to be like talking strategy together, and like giving each other like advice going back and forth. I just thought that was a really cool little tidbit that I noticed throughout the couple matches.
Well, with team sports, the best player is always the most influential, right? And I think about that for Marwan. Marwan could do so many different things, but he is so great with our team and with us, owners and coaches that his influence, his positive influence spreads throughout. Amanda Sobhy, same thing. Like she's done
it's
so
like the team
much.
captain,
Team
like
captain.
the one that really gets everyone playing for the team and playing, like figures out a way to get everyone to play their best on the day.
Correct.
And how to motivate certain people, how to give them advice in certain moments that's going to just increase their performance by like that 1 or 2% that you need on the team.
Well, it's like a quote from one of my favorite sports movies. Remember the Titans. Attitude reflects leadership, Captain.
That's right.
You got to be.
I love
you got to
that.
have a good.
I love that.
And Amanda embodied it. And so let's get right into it. Early in this period, Amanda set the tone against Fairuz. Really took it to her, and
She did.
She had a great +7 shift.
Again, similar to the first match against DC, starting off with Amanda, their team captain, their fearless leader, going on and totally like shocking Fairuz. I thought that Fairuz kind of had like a bit of a slow start. You could tell like she was a little agitated, like, and this was kind of in the first match as against the Freeze as well.
Yeah.
Against Tina in that like first bit, like it was a little chippy. She was a little maybe getting too. I think the thing with Fairuz is like she's such a good player, but she gets a little too involved with the decisions sometimes. She gets a little too involved with the referee. She lets stuff off court, kind of like, and she is young. She's coming up, so
22.
she has a lot to learn. But that's something that I think she could maybe improve going forward. Is just being able to let her squash do the talking,
correct,
rather than get too involved in these scenarios and let those affect her.
Yeah, stay in the moment, and we'll get to her third period. I mean, Fairuz set some NSL records in that third.
She got better and better as the match went on, but she didn't start off well in this match.
Correct, she did not start off well. Again, Amanda set the tone, but I still thought the key moment for me was Jazz Hutton power play, 8 points. Again, Jazz Hutton had some unbelievable power play.
She did. She was attacking really well. I think being a lefty on power play for whatever reason is an advantage. Just because it's harder to play, mentally against lefties. A little bit more of an open game style, like allows her to create some different angles. But yeah, she was really, really good on power play. And then. This power play, only 2 points for Garas at the end of the at the end of the period, where Jazz did some great defending as well, which is shocking because Garas is one of the more attacking players in the NSL.
Right. Jazz, by the way, Jazz on her power plays this entire playoff, she averaged 7 points. 7.4 points. That's insane.
Yeah, that's really high. I mean, that's higher than Matthias Knudsen on the men's side. But she also has that defensive ability too.
Totally.
So she's a really complete NSL player, I think, in a lot of ways, because she has the explosive attack and she also has that, the ability to defend, which is really what you want. You want players that are built for this, this format and can do a lot of different things on court.
So DC took the first period, 34-28. Second period, DC also took 36-27. This was where I thought the most important, shout out to Noah Romero. This is where the first moment that I've seen in the women's where someone ranked number 73 in the world took it to the world number 7. You were there. I was not there, unfortunately. What happened was DC first. It was Amanda and Nardine started. Then they had a double sub where it was Fairuz versus Noah Romero. And I remember looking at this. I'm like, oh my god, Fairuz is about to crush Noah. This is going to be so bad. DC called the power play first. They were up 15-12. Thought that was smart. Noah got 7 points on the power play. Now, it looked like a few time delay strokes against Fairuz. I don't know how many.
Yeah, I think there were at least like 2 or 3 of these.
Yeah.
And again, this is where like Fairuz kind of lets the, kind of goes wayward with the decisions and stuff, because she'll do one time delay stroke, that's fine. You do one, it's
Right.
then you learn from it. But if that happens 2 or 3 times,
Yeah.
then it's clearly like
Unacceptable.
it's in your head, or like like you're that's not you're just giving the team a handicap at that
Correct.
point. So
And they were
given 7 points, maybe 3 of those were time delay strokes.
Yeah.
But you got to take those points if you're Noah Romero, and keep running with it, because she's the one who's on court. She's the one who's on court with world number 7, like you said, and winning 7 points in a power play. So there were still 4 other points that she hit winners on during that power play, and which was awesome. I mean, awesome to see a player ranked 73 in the world taking it to a player ranked 7 in the world. I mean, you do not see that ever.
And then we haven't seen on the women's side of the NSL. And then after that, the New York smartly calls the power. That's the exact matchup you want, Fairuz versus Noah, and Noah only got 4 points, or let up 4 points.
Right.
Easily could
So
have been
she's
10.
going off court +3
+3.
after 2 power plays
Against the world number 7.
Yeah, which is an amazing result given the matchup for DC. So
and you could see her too when she got subbed off. Everyone was congratulating her.
no, it was awesome. This
so
was
cool.
a really cool thing. I was like actually right behind the bench when she came off, and she was like, gave like a double fist pump. She was like, "Let's go!" And you could tell that she knew that she like had done well for the team.
Yeah.
And like all the girls were like giving her a pat on the back. Like it was really, really awesome.
That's what the NSL is all about,
Yeah.
Spencer. It was really good. So DC takes the 2-0 lead, look very, very in control, look like everything's going to work out their way. And then third period, Fairuz dominates.
Yeah, this is where Coach Gohar
Did
comes
something.
into the scenario in between periods and clearly gives the girls a talking to and gets them in the right mindset, switches the mindset.
Yeah.
Given they kind of went down early in both of the first 2 periods, like I can imagine that Coach Noran Gohar was not happy with the starts in those first 2 periods. So I can imagine that she probably told them, this period, we need to get off to a good start.
Yeah.
And you could tell Fairuz came out with the edge. She came out with the extra bite on her shots. She found extra accuracy. And she was no longer getting into it with the referee or anything. She was all business.
Yep.
Which is when she's at her best. So she was able to bring really high quality to the start of that third period, and they went up 18-8.
18-8, and then where it really got out of hand was, we were just singing Noah's praises for defending against Fairuz in that second period. Unfortunately, in the third period, when they got matched up, I think Fairuz got pissed, and she went on a 19-1 run.
Yeah, and this is where like the New York Queens got off to a start, but they did not let up. They did not let up. And I think I don't know what the record is for most points in a period. You probably know that.
75.
Okay,
actually.
so they almost equaled the record.
But it's the biggest
for most points in a period here.
Biggest gap
Biggest
40,
gap
in 41 in history. And Fairuz 48-9. The plus 39 in one period is an NSL record.
Yeah, it was interesting because sometimes like you see teams like once they get up by like 30 points or something, they kind of just start to maybe go into a little exhibition or like, but they actually didn't. The New York Queens were like they were fully professional. They crushed DC in this period, and they did not stop at
I think
all.
they were trying to send a message to it's going into the shootout, and maybe that was the right thing, but it was also very interesting thinking about it. In my mind, I was going back to last year's final of the women, Philadelphia Freedom versus DC Inferno. It was the exact same thing where Philly takes the first 2 tight ones, DC blows them out of the water in the third period, and then Philly went on to win 3-0 in the shootout. So in my mind, I'm like, is DC going to do this? Is DC going to take the shootout?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you're New York Queens, I kind of like the strategy of going full on, flat out, and like just not letting up so that you can kind of take that momentum into the shootout. Because if you kind of let up, maybe you let them get some points at the end. Maybe you turn the momentum a little bit and then your players kind of get a little bit. But if you keep that intensity going into the shootout, maybe that gives you an advantage. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But, so New York Queens, they close it out here. All 3 players on the New York Queens played some of their best squash in that period. Totally. And we go on to the overtime shootout in the finals of the NSL National Championship. Second year in a row. I mean, firstly, like exactly what the fans wanted in this scenario. I mean, you could tell everyone wanted the Queens to win that second period. So we go to shootout here.
The fans got their money's worth. That's between not only this match, but obviously the next match. The fact that you got 2 shootouts, both 100%. Going down to the final point, Spencer, you did a great job writing this script.
Oh, yeah, it was great. Yeah, the script all went exactly as planned.
So And it was going to be what I was thinking about. I was like, okay, how is DC going to adjust their setup compared to the night before? So, the night before, Hutton, Jazz was the first player the night before. They went Amanda Sobhy first. And again, in my mind, I'm like, oh man, Amanda won 0-2. Let's see how it goes tonight. Amanda Sobhy controlled the point. Again, sort of like the Greenwich Panthers. It was on their racket, took control, and she went up the middle for the first point. First one, big one. You saw Amanda give it, let's go.
Clever play from Amanda, showing her street smarts there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that's what great champions do. You know, they don't let results from the previous day affect their mentality. So.
Correct. So 1-0 DC. Fayrouz and Jazz had great points, couple of lets and whatever. Fayrouz ended up taking it, but I thought Jazz put in a lot of good work into Fayrouz. And that was, again, a moment where Fayrouz really dug in mentally. And it was just a good point. And
yeah, that was back and forth because, there were 2 lets there,
yeah.
Tough points. Like, it went back and forth. And then Fayrouz finished it off with, like, a really nice counter drop off a boast. Okay. I think it was. Or something.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Or it was like a really, like, she was reaching and she just punched in a really good counter drop. So yeah, on to point 3 here.
The most important point, maybe, besides the final point.
What do you think is the most important? Do you think point 3 is the most important point?
It depends. If it's 2-0, I think point 4, like, everyone's different. It depends on there's a lot of different questions. Point 5 obviously is the most important. Point 3, Point 3 I think is always where you put your weakest players, and that is what both teams did.
Right.
But my favorite point is, again, Nardine Garras 36 in the world, Noah Romero 73, and in this point Nardine hits one, it just catches the middle of the quarter and shoots back at her. Noah takes the stroke. Nardine's face, she knew, got so unlucky. Noah knows she got away with robbery crime.
It's pure frustration when that happens, and like such a big point as well, because it's like one of the most annoying shots. Yeah. It's like you just got a
centimeter to the left.
You got unlucky. Yeah. Centimeter left. You were trying to hit a drive, it just squirted out. Yeah. And unfortunately, like, that's how the cookie crumbles.
And Noah was so happy. Again, joy. It was so cool to watch that. So, and that was a huge point. Take the 2-1 lead. Yep. And then it went back to Jazz and Fayrouz, which was interesting, right? They had just played the point before. So it was like a weird palindrome almost, if you will, of this. But it was good to see Jazz and Fayrouz. Fayrouz had a tight length, textbook, nothing you could do. And just as you had drawn up, Spencer, the final point, MVP Amanda Sobhy in front of her American crowd, going up against Nardine Garras. She was 0-2 the night before, all on her racket after losing the shootout last year. And Amanda took it.
Yeah, she whipped a really good 2-wall boast in there from the back corner, out of reach for Garras. And the celebration was telling of how much this meant to the players. It was awesome. Yeah. Amanda jumping up and down, like, you could tell, like, on the bench, like, they're going nuts. Yeah. The second Garras exits the court, they rush the court. They, they do the huddle. They do the whole thing. You could tell how much it meant to her. And then Amanda, after the match, saying that it felt like she had won the world championships was really, really cool to hear. Because that's what we want this league to be. We want it to be big time, and we want it to really mean something to these players. It does, and it clearly does. Performing for the players on their team, it is a special feeling. It's something that squash players do not get, especially professionals. I think especially professionals who, well, for both professionals who played in college and didn't play in college, but especially for the ones who didn't play in college and didn't get like that kind of taste of like what team squash is like. I think for the ones that played in college, they know that like team squash is cool and very special. Right. But for the international players who never got that team experience, I think they enjoy it even more because it's like, wow, this is such a cool feeling to play for something more than just myself, because we're always playing for ourselves out there. It's a very, very, one of the most individualistic sports, other than tennis, that you play. You never have people in your corner. And so to have people there celebrating with you, it's like such a special feeling, I think.
Yeah. And this is probably a good time to kick it to my interview with Amanda. I was able to get her the Saturday morning after, and she talks about how special it was. She celebrated like it was world champs, and she talks about the final point and her mentality. So anyway, let's kick it to my interview with Amanda Sobhy, NSL champ and NSL MVP. We now welcome back to the National Squash League podcast someone who needs no introduction after receiving arguably the longest introduction in podcast history. But what we can add to the introduction this week is she is now an NSL champion and an NSL MVP. We welcome back Amanda Sobhy, live from Connecticut. Amanda, how are you feeling this morning?
Thank you. I mean, To be honest, I'm a little hungover and sleep deprived, but like all good things.
Did you guys find like again South Norwalk, beautiful place, very fun. Did you guys like find the closest bar? You just hang out there all night. I mean, tell us about the celebration.
Well, we actually stocked up on, I mean, we went because we were first on, we went to a bar afterwards just to like get some food and a couple drinks and stuff. But then afterwards, like we did stock up on like, a bottle of Aperol, box of High Noons. Yeah. So we went back to the house and just got to hang out with the team and yeah, and just enjoy. And like, that's the best kind of celebration. I don't need to do anything fancy. It's just more about the people that I'm with.
Amen. And especially again after last year's crushing shootout loss, 3-0. And you lost your point to Melissa Alves last year, former NSL MVP. Now I can say that.
Don't remind me. I'm still salty about that call.
How much sweet again after all that last year, and again you like we joked last podcast, you didn't even get the MVP of the match, you won and had the best plus minus. How it must feel a little sweet this morning.
Yeah, it does. It's weird because like, it winning it felt and like getting MVP like felt the same as winning a big like PSA title and tournament.
Really?
Yeah. And it's just and I think that's what the beauty of NSL is that like, you have this team event, the camaraderie of the team, and you still have that competitive fire in you, the adrenaline of like the last point, and then to know that I get not rewarded, but just kind of acknowledged for the work that I done and like the effort I put in with the team and everything, and it means a lot, and it shows too that like I care, like this matters to me. If I didn't feel anything or like didn't really care, then we're kind of I might check myself and be like, okay, well, is NSL really worth it? Or like, what am I doing as a pro? Like, do I enjoy this? But like to know that I can still have that same feeling winning NSL as I do like winning a big event in a tournament is pretty awesome. And I do love it. And like, I'm not taking anything for granted.
Yeah, and I think which what again, I first said this in the last podcast too. Like as you get older, you realize like individual sports, you have a whole team on the individual, and so you do get to celebrate with them. But this is a different type of celebration. Obviously, Harvard squash, you have plenty of team championships, but it sort of as you said, you guys have such great culture. Everyone that follows you guys on social media knows the DC Inferno have fun team culture, and I can only imagine that culture probably helped you guys win not one but two final points in over the week. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah, it is. It really comes down to like the team dynamic, the team culture. We are one big family, which I love. That's like part of one of my favorite parts of playing in the NSL is the team that I'm on and being a part of the DC Inferno. And yeah, it just makes like you want to give more for your teammates and stuff too. And like it's not every day that I get to play in a team format, like play a part of a team that like, yeah, they're just a great group. We get along really well. We are a big family, and like you want to do something bigger than yourself. Or sometimes when you are just playing individually, even though we do have our own individual team, like it's just us out there on court. And so, it's nice to know that we were playing for just like the whole team and the Inferno squad from like Willie and Dex, our owners, down to like the coaches and the girls and like even the other girls who weren't able to come this weekend. So yeah, it's been awesome.
Yeah. And so let's talk about the first match. Semifinals against the Sono Sharks. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. First off, you did exactly what you said you would do last week. Saved me a ton of embarrassment.
Yeah, but I almost blew it because I really like shat the bed in the third and the shootout. Like I didn't even make contact with the ball in the shootout. I shanked the glass back. Like it was so bad.
I was going to say, so the feedback I got from the last podcast was that I was too nice to you. So that was actually going to be my first question was how brutal was it to be 0-2 and almost cost your team the shot at the title?
Oh my God. No, I honestly wanted to cry afterwards. You have no idea. Like I'm not used to letting, I was telling my boyfriend John about this. I was like, I'm not used to letting people down. Like literally, I'm always the one on the team where like everyone can count on in college and US squash, like juniors, pro seniors, all that stuff. I'm the reliable one where it's like, okay, we can count on Amanda. Amanda's gonna get shit done. So like when I don't do that and when I feel like I've let the team down or I just don't execute, I take it so personally. I like could not let it go. There's a moment in the third period where I thought that they power played against me.
Right. This is against Sono.
Yeah, and Sono. But apparently they didn't because like we subbed first. So I thought, so I was like playing defense thinking that like, oh my God. But then I was so confused of like, why is Marina like not rushing or anything? And I then like took it so personally of like, oh my God, I fucked it up. Like I could have won these points and then we lost the third and everything. And now and then I just shat the bed in the like, in the shootout and everything, and I was like, I'm about to just cost the team this, and I like literally like went into a deep mental spiral. I kid you not. Like I was like, yo, yeah. Like I was like, I need to just go shower and cry in the shower right now because like I can't handle this.
Even after you guys won?
Oh yeah. After we won, I could not like I was like I couldn't let it go, and I was like, we gotta sort our shit out here because like we still won, but like I just generally feel horrible inside.
But upon reflection, Amanda, this probably has to be a first. And again, I can be a little bit funny about this. You were, again, your stats, if you look at it, you were +7 overall in the match. You did your job. You actually are the reason why you guys won in the second period. So give yourself a little grace there. But for argument's sake, let's just say, doesn't it feel good to be carried by your team for once?
I know, but so that's the thing is like, I'm not used to that. The only other time I've really experienced this was at World Teams in Hong Kong in 2024, where we played Scotland in like the pool match, and I lost a match that I should have won. And then I like was so visibly upset thinking that like I just blew it. And then my teammates carry the team. And I literally have never experienced that really. Cause I'm always the one that like carries the team, or I'm the one that always wins and everything and just make sure that like I'm the dependable one. So like I generally can sometimes like can't handle that emotion where I just end up like crying. And I was just like, I'm like, oh my God, like I'm not used to relying on other people to like help me out. Like I'm kind of very strong, independent, and so the fact of like relying on my teammates too and like having my teammates kind of carry me is not exactly a feeling I'm used to. So yeah, it was very emotional. Even though we won, I would like just felt horrible and I was like, oh my God. So I was like, we gotta like just let this go and make sure that we're not carrying this into the finals.
Well, clearly it didn't happen. Obviously you're holding the hardware to prove it, but let's go into the finals now. You're facing against a very deep New York Queens squad that some had winning. Bill Buckingham, shout out. I also earlier in the season had New York, but then I feel like, after our interview, so I was straddling the fence. But the stat that I like, and we know rankings don't always matter in the NSL, but the combined ranking of the New York Queens, their entire team, was 78. Noah Romero alone was number 73 in the world.
I know.
She was, I thought the major turning point in the match was in the second period. It was pretty close, and then it was Noah versus Fairuz, and I'm like, all right, like.
And she defended the power play,
and that's just the thing. She
scored
7 points,
literally. And I told Lisa this. I was like, this is top 15 level squash. Like she executed the plan. Like literally, she understood the assignment so well. And I told her too. I was like prepping her for like the power play. I was like, you chip it down the wall, and I was like, you put it into the back corners. I was like, you drag those rallies out as long as possible and you just chip it down the wall. She looks at me, she's like, I got it. And
that's
like,
awful.
My God, did she get it? It was insane.
I mean, because she's like, again, what I love about the NSL is you never have players at ranked 70 play against top 10 players. And last year on the men's side, it was Finley Withington who took out Marwan in the semis 14-5 in his shift. And right there with Noah, I mean, it's one of those things too. And to be honest, I feel like we haven't seen it in the women's game at all.
Yeah.
This is really the first time that I can think of where somebody significantly lower ranked really took it to a top 10 player and made a huge difference. You guys won that period only by 2 points.
Yeah. No, that was like she stepped up in that shift. That was unbelievable.
Yeah. So that was the second period. You guys take the 2-0 lead. We're going to ignore the third period.
Wait, no, can we just talk about, I mean, you can definitely give me shit in the third period because I like was not great in either third period.
It's the only period in your career for negative.
Also too, I had the power play and I think I scored 1 point at the end, like maybe half a point, which was like the last point.
No, I had you. Oh, wait. Sorry. No, I'm looking at the wrong match. Wait.
In the
Yeah,
final,
1 point. Yeah, 1 point.
one point. It was and Mark like decided to power play me, and he was like, yeah, sure, like Mandy's gonna rattle off like 10 points, close the gap, everything. 1 point. It was so bad.
Yeah, that was a bit of a turning point, and I was going to ignore. But the only thing I did want to ask was that there was like 7 minutes left. You get subbed off for Jazz, and you said something to Jazz. You guys were down 30 points, and you both laughed like pretty hard. Can you tell me what you said? Because like clearly you kept it light as you're getting your ass handed to you.
So, so when the like spread was big, but when Noah was on, and before like I went on, and then Jazz went on for the last little shift. Went to Mark. I was like, "What's the percentage of us like coming back?" He's like 5%. I'm like, okay, 5%. So then I went on. I had the worst shift of all time. Like literally didn't even bring up any points. And then I went off, and Jazz went on, and I looked at her, and I was like, pretty sure I just brought that to a 2%.
Yeah. It was very funny to watch on the stream, and it's just tough. I mean, some people are like, oh, like I hate when the NSL gets like that, but that happens in basketball, it happens in football all the time.
Yeah.
I like to say I was a Philadelphia Eagles fan. Sometimes in Super Bowl you have a 40-6 lead. There's
I know.
nothing you can do. But clearly you guys were in the right, frame despite getting your butt handed to you in that third period. Going into the shootout, what are you guys talking about? What's going on the bench?
So the coaches, Mark and Josh, they looked at me and they're like, I'm thinking like starting me, ending me, which basically like I'm like thinking about yesterday, sort of. And I was like, you're kind of like mental battle type thing of like, you don't want to stuff this up. But then I'm also like, Amanda, like, this is a chance, redeem yourself. Like, you know what to do. You're a good fucking squash player. Like, do what you do and you're good.
Yeah.
So, and it's all about like at the end of the day, it's like backing yourself. You have any sort of doubt, then it's kind of like you're in that gray area. So you'd rather just like commit and be all in, and it's like go for it. Whether you win, or you lose. But like you'd rather be all in rather than be like hesitant on it. So I was like, you know what? This is fucking terrifying. I back myself and I want to redeem myself, and I was like, put me in. So yeah. So they decided to start me and end me, and I was like, I'm gonna do it.
So that was like the first point. I mean, clearly hearing you now, you're saying you're gonna be aggressive. You're aggressive. Up the middle is a crazy shot.
I don't know if I necessarily meant to do up the middle, but like, yeah, we just went for it, and I was like, you're gonna hit the shit out of the ball, and I was like, you go for the shots that you know, and like, I was like, straight drop on the forehand, and I also told them too, because I know like the Egyptians are gonna shoot right away, so I was like, we have to come if we have the opening first. I was like, we're taking it in. And I said to Mark and Josh, I was like, listen, if they're going to tee me up on my forehand volley, I was like, I'm ripping a nick.
Love it.
But they didn't. And I went straight drop. And then, so I was like, okay, what are my like shots? And I was like, okay, forehand straight drop has been feeling pretty good. And then I was like, my forehand boast, like anyone knows me knows I love a forehand boast. So I was like, if we're going to go for my like bread and butter shots, essentially.
Brilliant. And obviously you got it. Now I also want to see what when Noah goes on, it's 1-1. And also to your point, Jazz I thought actually played so well in her point.
Yeah, she played so well. Yeah.
Taking in short shoes, being aggressive, just unlucky at the end. Noah getting that stroke. I think everybody, you could see Garaz, she looked and was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. And you guys jumping up and down 2-1. I mean,
and also she got a stroke the night before too, so she won both her.
Oh yeah.
She won both her overtime points on strokes, and we were like, you are so clutch.
2-0. I was gonna make that joke too. I mean, technically you're 2-2. Jazz is 2-2.
I know.
Noah's 2-0. I mean,
I know, literally, like talk about a dark horse on our team.
Yeah. I mean, again, your team, DC, not even talking about Rona Larrabee, Rachel Arnold, Noah obviously probably wasn't the, first call, and for her to have the performance she did it's super, super cool.
Yeah.
So last thing, we sort of touched on, but 2-2. What's going through your head a little bit? Are you nervous? Like you're thinking about last year at all? Are you thinking about last night?
No, I was thinking, I mean, I was definitely nervous. I mean, it's hard not to be nervous in that like environment, but I was like, okay, this is what I made for. And I was like, I am not fucking losing this. So when I was like, I have the opening and I knew it too. I was like, You get into the back corner, like backhand back corner, anything in the middle, she's just going to put the ball down. I was like, you make sure that ball goes deep into the back corners, then you have your opening and you're going to take it. And thankfully, like, she did not see my forehand bows. And I literally celebrated as if I just won the world champs. And it was like so hype and so fun to do that.
But I think again, I wasn't there, unfortunately. We've talked before I started recording. I had to come back, and I'm so sad to not only miss one, but two matches that came out. Was the crowd with you? Was it
oh my God,
cool?
yeah, the crowd was totally with us. Because I think too, like, our team really embodies like just what NSL is all about.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you know, with the team camaraderie, the spirit of it, the entertainment aspect, the performance, the fun, but also just like the competitiveness and like the wanting to win and everything. So yeah, I think a lot of us really wanted the DC Inferno to win. So I was just hyped to do it, like so pumped.
Yeah, well, again, after last year, after the crazy match that was, and you guys losing to New York Queens earlier this year, seeing that final, you guys, as you said, have embodied everything that the NSL is about, both on social media, on court, off court. Clearly, you're calling the line from your team Airbnb, still celebrating. Amanda. Again, I just want to say thank you for taking the time quickly this morning.
No worries at all. Yeah, I'm officially in off season, so my schedule is pretty open these days.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, we talked about it before the podcast. It sounds like your schedule's open. It sounds like might be some golf in your future. Golf is the ultimate sport where you have to rely on your partner a lot. If you really want to practice that exercise and learn what it's like, definitely just team up with somebody and have you hit it out of the woods, which happens all the time, and then you have to rely on your partner. I do it all the time. Honestly, I do it in doubles. That's why I'm an 8-time national champion. Oh, we didn't even talk about that. I'm sure you were thinking about that. You now have 10. I'm 9.
Oh my God, I one up you now. So you gotta, you need to like elevate your status.
In 2 years, my dad and I can compete in century doubles, father-son. So we'll hopefully get that one.
I feel like there's a couple more titles in your future.
Yeah, well, cool, Amanda. Well, maybe I'll see you this summer. I know you'll be in the Philly area, but if I don't, we'll definitely see you next year as the NSL is starting a little bit earlier, and you will be officially the defending NSL MVP and NSL defending champ. So we will have a lot more to add to your menu of accomplishments as we introduce you, hopefully, for some matches next year.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks so much for chatting.
All right, Amanda. Awesome. So much. Thanks so much again, and have a great summer.
Will do.
Great interview with Amanda. Thank you to Amanda for coming with me on Saturday. It was just like Saturday morning. I was kind of just trying to.
The victory was still fresh in her mind, which is great that you were able to catch her for that interview there.
And she was at her the Airbnb. The DC rented out an Airbnb.
They had a pool party the next day.
Yeah, I know.
Which is awesome.
It was very cool, and it was very nice of her to give me some time. So thank you to Amanda, NSL MVP. Sure. She's very excited, and that was a fun interview. 2 interviews again. I got her back to back. So
and she's very, very deserving of that MVP title.
Totally.
She really, like we've hit on already in this podcast, led the team to victory.
Yeah,
so
and was so good last year and holds so many NSL records herself. So now to the men's final. Unfortunately, it wasn't the Lightning, but we have the Greenwich Panthers versus the Chicago Grizzlies. It is worth noting that American sports prides itself on parity, Spencer, and whether you designed this purposely or not, it's cool to see that both teams that went 0-2 last year, now both in the finals. 6 different teams have been in the finals and all 3 years of the NSL men's existence.
Very cool. Yeah, we had Nashville versus New York in the first season, New York winning that one. Then we had Philly versus Lake Erie Beacons last year, which you guys ended up winning. And this year we had Chicago and Greenwich. Yeah. So very, very cool to see different teams getting the chance to fight for this trophy. I know you're sad your team wasn't there, but I think it was for the best, BG, that we had
the league?
I think it was for the best.
Makes me sick. Every league needs a Los Angeles Lakers, so it's supposed to be us.
You're just talking about how it's so great to have 6 different teams.
Now I'm pissed. All right, now it's hitting me.
But also because, the Greenwich Panthers were the local team as well. So, it's cool to have the local team play. You were the local team last year in Philly.
True.
The Panthers were the local team now in Connecticut. So
how much do I need to pay you to host the finals next year?
We can talk after the podcast.
All right, so we obviously know the rosters.
Yep.
Let's get right into it. Greenwich Panthers won the first period 26-24. It was interesting to see, Sam Todd go out first instead of Mustafa going against Mustafa Asal. So I thought we would see that matchup first. But Sam Todd, I think, did a fine job until the end. It got a little out of sorts, but he looked ready. He's sort of sending a message, I think, for Chicago.
It was interesting to see Sam Todd go out first there, and he held his own until about 6-all in that first period, which was cool to see him go toe to toe.
Right.
But then you could tell that Asal started to pull away at the end, and he got 5 straight points to finish that shift. And then we went into it was a double sub. No, it was not a double sub.
Yeah, so they subbed out Simon Herbert first, and then Greenwich smartly called the power play, and Asal dunked on Simon, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah. So it was a kind of a interesting choice to go Todd, Herbert, and then finish with Gawad. Maybe they were kind of hoping for a similar scenario to the Newport, or starting off similar to the way they started off against Newport in the previous match, kind of keeping that same strategy. I do agree Gawad is very good in the pressure moments.
Totally.
So he's the one you want on court.
He almost did it.
He did. He almost came back in the very final moments of that match.
Right.
So maybe not a bad strategy from Chicago.
Yeah, they were down 1 point or down 2 points, and Gawad hit his textbook backhand drop, just cuts it, and he did so well against Newport, and he clipped the 10 at the end, and that's why Greenwich ended up winning 26-24. But fine bet by Coach Andy, just didn't work out in that first period. So Greenwich took the first period 26-24. Second period, Greenwich took it 28-19, and now this is where it's like, oh man, Greenwich looked firmly in control. When I was watching it, I was like, God, this might be bad. I have no idea what's going to happen. Gregor Marsh went 14-4, plus 10 in his shift here, and that was easily the big moment for them. But it was the last shift as well. It was very interesting. Gregor against Nathan Lake, he was the closer there. He was the closer against Gawad in the first period, and closer here. I think Gregor. Really, it would have been interesting if Greenwich had won. Obviously, Mustafa dominated and had the most points. Gregor, I think, had the most important minutes. Similar to Nathan Lake last year for us. Nathan Lake had the most important minutes, I said sometimes, where he defended. Gregor really, really earned his stripes here in the second period.
No, definitely. I think you'd have to say that Gregor was the man of the second period here for the Greenwich Panthers, and really helped them blow out the Chicago Grizzlies here towards the end of the period, and similarly to the way that he finished off strong the day prior against the Lightning.
Yeah.
We'll have to give that to Gregoire for the second period.
Yeah, and again, I will say, between these first two periods, it was sort of similar to the women's. It was almost similar to our match, actually. I would say the Lightning and the Panthers. It was just textbook squash, like really tight. Not much to talk about because everyone did their job. Everyone, I asked actually Simon Herbert in our interview what he thought about Coach Andy, and Andy did a good job listening, and they worked together. But I think everyone performed well, and it was just good squash all around.
Herbert, obviously being the weakest of the three for Chicago, I thought that Chicago did a really good job of managing his minutes and just making sure that he was kind of playing the right matchups at the right time, and he was able to, I think, play a lot better in the final than he did against I thought in Newport he was struggling. Definitely struggling.
Yeah.
He had his he didn't look fluid at all at any point. He was breathing heavy. He was clearly feeling it. But this match he looked far more settled
and confident. He had been there before, maybe.
Yeah.
People forget he was on the Nashville Crushers when they had that loss in the first season.
That's true. Simon he's been traded around to a couple different teams. He was on Nashville the first season, then he was on New York in the second season. Now he's obviously on the championship Chicago team, so maybe he'll stay here.
I say this, he's the winningest player in NSL history. 6 matches. He's 6-2 in his matches.
Oh, an overall record.
He is 6-2.
Yeah, well, he's such a reliable player for the NSL. He loves the format. Right. It's great to have him in the league. He always represents the league very well. So.
Right, and it's worth. So it's a good segue into the third final period. 40-38 Chicago. They barely got this, but the key moment, honestly, was Simon Herbert. He let up 1 point, I think, against Mustafa Asal, or no, 2 points on a Mustafa Asal power play.
That could have easily been a 7 or 8 point power play if Herbert had lost his focus or, got peeved by some reffing call or something. But he was so focused during that one portion. I agree.
But we talk about like power plays deep in the third with such world number 1 versus world number 57. Like, differences like that is usually kind of happen to us, where Nick Wall got crushed in the third period. Simon didn't let it happen, kept the lead, reasonable. There was a little bit of coaching staff who honestly at the end where Gawad had to lose a point, so they got the power play off in time before the 4-minute mark. But that allowed Kareem to do what he needed to do, got 5 points, and set up another shootout.
Yeah, that was interesting at the very end where Kareem he couldn't quite tell what was going on, but like he followed orders and he threw the point actually just to get that power play off before the 4-minute mark. It was at like literally 4:15 or something like that. Scored a couple of points and gave himself enough of a cushion to really hold off the final push from Mustafa Asal at the end, who Greenwich called his timeout at the very end of the match as well to try and get Mustafa, recharge him a little bit, and get him to give that one final push. And he was pushing hard, and this was a really, really, really cool end to the second period. Just Chicago holding on by a thread. And I was talking to the Chicago guys as well after the match, and they were telling me that they were getting some flack in the group chat, like the other owners back in Chicago. After the first 2 periods, they're like, "Oh, like what's going on? Like you guys, like you're letting it slip." And then all of a sudden they win the third period and everything turns around. So just goes to show again,
you're never dead.
Things can switch on a dime.
You're never dead in the NSL.
So it was cool to see the MVP Gawad finish off that period, hold off the world number 1, and take us to yet again another overtime shootout, the second one of the night, the third one of the NSL Finals. And the crowd, again, just was loving this. They were on their feet, clapping.
The last point.
Yeah, for the last point, like, they knew what was going on the court. So, yeah, it runs through this overtime shootout for the national championship.
So the first point, Gawad versus Saul, exactly what you expected. It was, like I said earlier, PSA points, long rallies, up, down, up, down. I think there was a tough let for Saul. I thought it was fair, but then this point got interesting. Gawad's on the run, puts a ball in the middle, and he does the right job he clears out, and Mustafa calls a very strange let, and everyone was a little confused. I'm curious if Coach Andy maybe had some influence, because on the stream you could see him saying to the ref, "No let, no let, no let," and Hope gave her a lot of credit, gives the no let, and tough in overtime. I might have done a let just because the stakes, but in the chat and the comments on YouTube, everyone was like, good decision, good no let. I'd be curious your thoughts, but
I thought it was a good call.
Okay.
I thought it was a good call. I thought that there was space to play. There's no reason that Asal shouldn't have hit that ball. And it's very easy for referees to kind of fold to like the higher ranked player, or like, he's Mustafa Asal, like, so I should give him the call. But she did a really good job of being totally unbiased in that moment. And I thought it was the right call.
Yeah. So 1-0 to Chicago. Second point, Sam Todd versus Gregor Marsh. Gregor, it's a tight length, in the words of Tuco Salamanca. Nothing Sam Todd could do. So Gregor got it, 1-1. Simon Herbert versus Dimitri Steinman. Simon, he's such a clown. He finds the nick. Dimitri's pissed. Simon roars.
It wasn't a good nick, though, right? It was like one of those cross courts that kind of finds the nick in the back.
Yeah, he knew he got away with it.
Yeah, but the celebration from Simon was awesome. He was like, and he put Chicago up 2-1 with, again, the decisive third point of the shootout. Same thing that happened in DC, going up 2-1. They were the ones who eventually won the shootout.
Maybe that is the most important point.
Third point could be a pattern there.
Yeah.
But then we go into the fourth point here.
Fourth point, again, similar to what Gregor did in the second point, just another tight squeeze from Asal.
We saw a lot of squeezes in these shootouts. And I think to your point about kind of the more attritional, the shootout bringing out a little bit more attritional play, players going up and down the sidewalls, just really trying to look for that opportunity. I think the shootout, it makes you have to focus on really hitting your targets for that 1 point, So some really tight shots were being hit.
Yeah, and so got us to the 2-2, got us to the moment we wanted.
Crowd was on their feet for this one.
Crowd was on their feet clapping. The ref, Hope, was on her feet. Sam Todd versus Gregor Marsh, and Gregor, this entire playoff run had done such a good job of being aggressive, staying aggressive, taking short, and he stayed aggressive. Points going on, but Gregor, I'm not gonna lie, insanely, I don't know what, I think he was trying to do a working boast.
Well, I thought that this was one of the first moments you saw Gregor feel the nerves, because he played an uncharacteristic, really high loopy boast
Yeah.
to Sam Todd's forehand,
Yeah.
which is obviously like one of his, strongest
And
areas
he's
of the
tall.
court. Yeah,
It's
and
like
Sam,
perfect.
he goes in there, gives a little bit of a delay, and then whips in that trickle boast.
Yeah.
Gregoire kind of diving, very wrong-footed diving, no let. And the reaction from Sam Todd, again, was awesome. Going back to the bench, giving the double fist pump.
Did you understand the pyramid thing that they were doing?
No.
It's a nod to George Parker. Simon and I talk about it. I have no idea.
Really?
I guess it's a George Parker celebration. Shout out George Parker.
Okay,
I said he should come to the NSL.
I didn't know that there was a homage to George Parker in there. I would love to see Parker in the NSL. I think he'd be a good player. But yeah, Sam Todd, Simon Herbert hoisting Simon up after the match. That was a good moment. And then very, very special finish for Chicago, who again can't mention this enough, but who was defeated for the first 2 seasons of the NSL, 0-4 until this year, then going undefeated, 4-0 this season. So shines of hope in Chicago, maybe something special brewing over there, but really cool to see a new champion on both sides, DC Inferno on the women's side, Chicago Grizzlies on the men's side, and a lot to build on here, I think, going into the future of the NSL, with such an awesome event, such good buy-in from the players, and all the NSL stakeholders, the team owners, just pure excitement for the game, which is really, again, what our goal is really with this league, is to get more people excited about the game of squash, and create something special that people can really enjoy watching, and coming to our events. And I think we really achieved that with this final. So
well, I think you did it from the fans' perspective. I hope the streamers, like I said, at one point the streamers got up to what was, I think, our highest number. I think it was 160.
Yeah, it was good. It was great concurrent viewers on the
stream. It was late too, and there was the night of the World Cup, and a good amount of people watching. But I think the most important thing, and this is a good way to segue into my interview with Simon Herbert, the players cared, and I think the players were shocked how much they cared and believed in, and both Amanda and now you'll hear from Simon talk about that and what it meant. So again, kudos to you, Spencer, and the NSL team. But right now, let's kick it to the interview with now NSL champ and winningest player in NSL history, Simon Herbert. We now welcome on to the National Squash League podcast a 6-time winner on the PSA Tour, which he did not know about until just now, the world number 57. He is, more importantly, the winningest player in NSL history, according to the stats. He has played the most matches in NSL history, and he is now officially an NSL national champion. He is Simon Herbert of the Chicago Grizzlies. Simon, welcome to the show.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. Simon, so tell everybody right now that's not watching this live, where are you right now?
I'm currently sat at the DC pool house, still in Connecticut. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty cushy working for or playing for DC Infernos.
Do you play for the DC Inferno or do you play for the Chicago Grizzlies?
No,
or do you guys,
was
this
a
pre-planned?
big
Did you guys know
As
you were
can
going to win?
I'm all tatted up with the DC Infernos. I was like a paid fan, but not paid. Paid in alcohol. So
yeah, and let's just say let's call a spade a spade. So Chicago Grizzlies won on Wednesday. We'll get into that. The DC Inferno played Thursday, and some were saying that you were the loudest girl in the stands on Thursday night. Tell us more about your DC fandom and why it happened that night, and why you were louder than all the boys and girls.
Well, I mean, it was a Shark Den, wasn't it? It was Sono Sharks they were playing, so felt a bit bad for them. But also Jazz came running up to me and was like, JJ, we haven't got any fans, so get in there, just cheer. I said I'd watch 1 minute, and that's all I was going to watch, but then I ended up staying till the end. So biggest fan mainly because I think the group of girls that they've got is great. Their personalities and stuff are just quite relaxed and stuff, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that team easily, I would say, I interviewed Amanda actually yesterday, talking about the team culture and how that contributed. But for you guys in Chicago, and again, we'll get into the matches later, but, you guys have a bunch of Egyptians, you have the Englishmen, you and Sam Todd as well. And, do you guys hang out like off, the NSL outside the tour? Like, do you and Kareem talk and like, hey, yeah, you ready for the finals?
Me and Kareem, obviously not as much, but like me and Sam were really looking forward to play this. We were speaking about it at Worlds. whether we'd both be playing or not. But like I speak to Kareem a little bit on tour, and we haven't really spoken about NSL, but he's such a lovely person. You can always speak to him. So yeah, I mean, we'll definitely speak about winning together next time I see him.
I think I think you guys have a shared bond, and let's start with that Newport match. You know, there was a lot of storylines going into the Newport match, starting with Kareem versus Yaya, obviously fresh off the British Open, but then, in my opinion, I think there was a little subtle thing between you and Matthias Knudsen. Matthias stole the title from you in the first year of the NSL, and I know you guys love to banter, love to go back and forth. I just feel like there was so much going on in that match, and am I reading too much into that, or is that dead on?
I think I didn't know Matty really when the first year came about. I had probably an opinion that's completely wrong. So all the drama with me and Matty can be squashed. Me and Matty are more alike than you think. We both played three NSL teams now. We joke about that. So I mean, there's no obviously within NSL. There's no room to be kind of like a little bit argy-bargy, I guess, in the men. The women, I don't know what they're doing, but they're doing something different. But me and Matty, no, there was nothing special. I was just trying to focus on what I needed to do, and I wasn't doing that very well.
Well, again, as I told you before we started, your stats for the semifinal don't look great. I'm not going to lie. The stats for the final, there's only one stat that really mattered at the end of the day, and it was the shootout. And you did your job. Yeah. And the celebration you had was epic. Tell me what you were thinking about going into the shootout. I think it was 1-1, and then you came on for the third point and took it home. Were you nervous? Were you excited?
Nervous, of course. Excited. Yeah, a little bit. I knew I was going to end up playing Dimmy as soon as, like, obviously it went to a shootout. And we'll get into it, but the first period, well, we won't because you have the stats, but the first period, I think I went on a 7 or 8 point streak against Dimmy. And then he did the same to me in the second period. So it was quite like this is like the winner of this game between us. So I almost went on and knew I needed to be aggressive with my line, my length, obviously not going short and stuff. And then luckily I hit a good whip that pops into the nick. So and the celebration just came from raw emotion. I never thought I'd ever react like that, especially in the NSL.
And it's funny, Amanda literally said the exact same thing. She was like, when she won the final point yesterday, she celebrated like more like she won the world championship, like when she won junior worlds. There's just something about, again, I can't explain it, and I still want to go into your stat of the winningest player in NSL history. I feel like you probably didn't even recognize that, but can you explain? Like, it's just natural. I mean, there's something about the NSL. I always say it threads the line of, you know, fun and exhibition-y, but there's something serious about it. You care and you do want to win.
Yeah.
Is that just me?
I think the fun part is good, and also like just one thing that everyone knows me for is like I'll complain to the ref a lot, and NSL doesn't allow that. You can complain, and in the final you can see I'm a little bit frustrated, but I'm not getting into altercations that I'm thinking about in the rallies, which is most important. Squashes are all about mental strength and everything, and I think NSL kind of creates that not even just, you have to have it. Like if you don't hold on to your mind, you can lose 10 points pretty quick. So I think that's one thing. So like if I could take that into my PSA, I would, but I'm struggling.
Yeah, I mean, there's something about it. It's almost like golf. Like the hardest thing about golf is that there's too much time in between shots, and especially, you know, the mental aspect. We're all human. It's just how you do it. But sometimes the NSL, because it's go, 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 even for the refs, I almost feel like, and the players, I feel like the movement's better. There's not as many controversial decisions. The only controversial decision that maybe occurred was at the end of the second period in the semifinal, Timmy Brennell getting a no-let with a pretty loose ball. But I did go back and check the tape, and I'll probably, you know, we're in a time machine on the podcast. I will have talked about it. I think the referee, Steve Johnson, was pretty consistent there. But what do you think about that no-let call at the end of the second period?
To be fair, I can't remember it, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, if it's that relevant in my brain, it's irrelevant in everything. So I'm sure Timmy will be having nightmares about it.
Easily, easily. But I want to take you back to the semifinal at another crucial point. I'm not sure if you saw this. So Monty and I, I love the banter, and you are right. You guys are very similar. I banter with you too.
Yes.
He was talking a lot of smack, and at the end
Yes.
of the first period, when they were up
Yeah.
16-3, did you see him point to me?
I didn't until he told me in the bar the next day.
Ah, he told you. What did he
Yeah.
say?
Well, I just said we were talking about like that lead is substantial, and I was struggling, as everyone could see. But we kind of said like, regardless of tactics and stuff, it must be so hard to come back mentally after being that far up in a period. And he was just like, yeah, I was pointing at BG because it was 16-3. Because he said this and
Yeah.
this. I don't know what he didn't really go into details what you said. And I know there's a bit of you're creating storylines, which is good. But I think Matty wants to play to the crowd like everyone. So I think he regrets doing it now.
Well, again, I don't create storylines. It just happens. It's
Yeah, I
it's
guess.
not my fault. It just happened to work out that way. Obviously, I wish that if I were really in charge of storylines, the Philadelphia Lightning would have won, but that's neither here
Yeah.
nor there. Um, can you talk about Kareem? I mean, like you said, 16-3. It was actually 17-3 after the point. Is
Yeah.
insane to come back from. Sam Todd comes on and gets the power play, but Kareem finishes the job, and Kareem obviously MVP now. Can you just talk about him
Yeah.
and how amazing he was all week?
He was definitely better in the semis than the final, but that was mainly because he had to be. Like, if he wasn't as good as he was in the semis, we would not have made it through due to my lack of ability of squash at that moment. But it was something special to watch. Like, it is prime Gawad, and it was amazing to watch that whole just first period coming back, and I'm trying to be internal, frustrated with myself, and then I hear the score coming back and back and back, and then obviously when we win it, all I'm thinking is I need to get my new name's backpack. I'm jumping on Kareem's back, and he's carrying me all the way to the finals. So, yeah, I mean, it was just unbelievable squash. Like, rattling a point, being patient, not making errors, especially to come from cold as well, because obviously you can do so much warming up, but there's a limitation to how ready you can be, and I think Gawad was the perfect primed Gawad.
Yeah, and again, like I said, in my mind, Gawad, and we're still in the semifinal, but you could even go to the final with Asal, right? Gawad didn't get to play Asal. He lost to Yaya in the British Open, and I felt like Gawad he was holding it was still eating at him, and the quality of squash. And again, you've been to the British Open, you've been to the World Champs, so you see the kind of caliber up front in person. I don't get to see that. The quality of squash you're playing. I mean, I would say the NSL it was pretty close to that, if not almost better. Because
yeah,
again, the
definitely.
movement is, I feel like, much clean.
Yeah, I mean, Yahir didn't really do much wrong. Like, it wasn't. He made a couple of tins, but again, he had a major lead, so he might have given Kareem 3 or 4 points pretty easily. But then Kareem just kind of was patient, waited. I think someone used their timeout. I think it might have been us or them, but it just let Kareem even settle more, which was good. So
Yeah.
I mean, Kareem is he's always good, and I think in this format he could even be good when he's 45. He's always got 5 minutes in him each time. So yeah, it definitely suits him.
Exactly. And that's what I said about Nick Matthew, right? Nick Matthew playing his first NSL match, real NSL match this year, and he was great for Atlanta, obviously almost beat the Lightning.
Yeah.
But let's go back to the final. You guys down 2-0. What do you guys talk about at the bench? What's Coach Andy like? Let's talk about him. I'm very curious what he's like as a coach.
Coach Andy is an interesting character, but he has blossomed into this amazing coach, understanding, listening. His methods might not be the most Simon Herbert like. He's having team meetings, which is great. Before he's got it all written down, what he wants, how he wants it to go. Whereas I believe you need to react to the NSL, but he did a great job. I was doubting him. I will not lie. I was doubting him when we were 2-0 down. I was doubting him. I think it was maybe we had 2-3 points in between us. I was doubting him again. And the crazy thing, I'm not sure many people know this, but neither team used their extra substitution.
Oh, interesting.
We
I'm
both
sure I would
had
have caught
an
that
extra
in the
substitution. So, yeah, it was a plan, and he kept to his plan, and never in doubt.
Never in doubt. So does Coach Andy deserve a contract renewal in the offseason?
Yeah, absolutely. He was amazing.
So let's talk about the final point. Sam Todd versus Gregor Marsh. I sort of thought Gregor had been playing great. Again, he was the reason why they beat us. I can confidently say. Yeah. What were you personally thinking watching that matchup?
Well, I knew Sam is a superstitious person, and he lost the first one to like a tight straight drive, which is it's very hard to beat that. But I just knew as soon as Greg went short with a post that was above the service line, Sam could do absolutely anything with that ball. And he proved it. Greg went the wrong way for a straight drive, and then you had a simple trickle post that stayed short enough that Greg had to then dive for it. So, I had full faith in Sam being able to do it. But it was a pure excitement after.
Yeah. His celebration, I still don't know. He was like raising the roof. It was kind of like Tiger Woods, but it was a pure. I didn't really get what was going on, but it was
George Barker did it, so it's a tribute to George Barker.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, George Parker. I still think I know he's in the padel world now, but he'd be great in this NSL.
I think he would be great. He'd be a character.
And again, I love characters. So now, okay, you won the championship.
Right, see you later.
Yeah. What do you got?
Awesome meeting you.
Sorry. DC Infernos are leaving. Oh, well, some of them.
They're leaving?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Noah's leaving. Quickly. Fiji.
Hi.
Who is it? Wait, who is that? Bring
Noah.
him on. Is that Noah?
Yeah.
Noah! Noah, I've been singing your praises. You were my second period. You were a beast against Fairuz.
Thank you. Thank you.
You were, I had an interview with Amanda yesterday. You were easily the MVP because the combined ranking of the New York Queens was 78, and you're 73 in the world. And this is what the NSL is all about when you get to take it to the world number 7. So congrats to you. I hope you celebrated properly.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh,
but
sorry.
Amanda deserved it. She was awesome, and I got fucked on the third period. So I think it was well deserved for Amanda anyways. But thank you. Thank you.
Right.
You were saving up. You were saving up for your stroke in the shootout. Okay,
absolutely.
Bye.
That's what I do best, right?
Nice.
Fake strokes. All right.
Nice.
I'll see you.
Oh.
All right, see you now.
Right, going back to it. Sorry, apologies.
That was like, Simon,
interrupted.
In the business, that's what we call great podcasting. No, that's exactly what I wanted to happen.
There you go.
I was waiting for the whole DC team to come over, and this is a good segue. So you and DC celebrate literally yesterday and this morning? Clearly, tell us about the celebrations for you, Chicago, and with DC after.
Well, I came yesterday with Nick Wall, so it wasn't just me.
Attaboy. Wait. Damn it, Nick.
And I came with Nick yesterday, celebrated with Andy and Doug on the night, briefly. And then, yesterday was, it was a chill vibe all day.
Nice. So you guys celebrated properly. Let's talk more about you being the winningest player in NSL history. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Well, unfortunately, again, for those that are not watching on YouTube, your tattoos, those DC Inferno tattoos, and I don't know who put those on you, but that's not going to make your tan look good.
Yeah, maybe not. But dive for the Infernos.
Did you dye your hair for the Inferno?
Yeah, obviously I did it when I was born, so I always knew I was going to be an Inferno fan.
Oh, I don't know how it took me so long to think of that one. So we were just about to sing your praises as the winningest player in NSL history. If you go back, your national days, you won 2 matches. Last year in New York, you won 1 match, and then this year you won 3 matches that you were a part of, including the playoffs.
Yeah.
The next closest behind you, Marwan El Shorbagy, 5 wins. Timmy Brownell, 5 wins, and I think Matthias Knudsen is also in that 5-win category. But you stand alone as the winningest player and the most matches played. You've played 8 matches. You're 6-2.
Yeah.
How does that feel? That's pretty big.
Yeah, it's big. I mean, it's a good number to be at 6, especially when you played 8, like conversion rates and stuff. And I felt a little bit hard done by last year against the Philly Lightnings, but last minute changes and, but anyways, no, it does feel good. And it does, that obviously has a added thing why I do enjoy it so much, because I am winning. Maybe if I was losing, I wouldn't enjoy it as much. So yeah, maybe that's why.
I mean, if you go even back to our match last year, you were the best player on court, in the Lightning match. This year, Kareem was obviously amazing, but between you and Sam Todd, if you look at the stats, I just pulled it up actually with the NSL tracks. I don't have the plus minus stats that I love, but you on a points per minute basis, you did well in the final, compared to except Kareem. Kareem obviously did very well, but you clearly just thrive in this format a little bit, and I think you're not afraid of anybody. I mean, do you feel that? I mean, obviously, you weren't 100%, I would say, this week, but getting on the court with a guy like Asal, getting on the court with even a Marwan El Shorbagy, like that was you love the moment.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, like, the only problem with this is it's not our career. So, like, before the match, I've got a couple of niggles that I'm concerned about. Yeah. Like, if I do a big movement, then it could affect my summer training. And this is obviously what NSL's getting up towards. Like this week, we had, like, a physio there, which was great for the support for us to make sure our bodies are okay. But no, I don't fear anyone anyway. Even on tour, maybe you're going to go in with a few more doubts because you don't have the team to back you up. Like, if I went on tour against Asal, I'm not going to be naive and say I'm going to win. But you never know. Like, and obviously, the game is, like, very different in the sense of if you're getting tired, you've got someone there to come and support you. So that definitely brings a massive factor in. You've got to have a good team around you that want to come and support you and not scared to take people on. Like Sam did amazing against Asal in the first period of the final. Like, I think he was even until about 10-6. So he did great. And then Grad's never going to be scared of anyone. We're ex-world champ, ex-world number 1. So, like, he's not going to be scared of anyone. Yeah.
So Simon, again, thank you for your time on this morning. I know you've had a big weekend and a lot of fun. But I really appreciate your time. This is the final question. Do you think you will find your 4th NSL team next year, or do you think you found a home in Chicago?
I am not sure.
Come on, man. You got to keep the core together.
Yeah, but does that work? It didn't work in New York.
Didn't work in New York. Let's say New York changed their team. They changed their makeup.
They got rid of Matty because they have to.
Yeah, because of schedule. They prioritized scheduling, and that was the Philadelphia Lightning. We kept our core. As I always love to say, I say this lovingly. If Abu Elgar could have kept it in his pants, we'd probably be champs.
I disagree. I don't know who you'd get rid of from your team for Abu Elgar.
No, my team's still perfect to this day. John White wasn't even there. We did our best. We gave Greenwich a very, very good shot. Arguably we should have beaten them better than you did. We actually had a better point differential. I haven't confirmed the stats, but no, we actually had 1 more points than Greenwich. Do you know who was the other team that ever did that in history, by the way?
Not a clue.
The New York Knights did that to the Philadelphia Lightning last year. You guys won more points, but we won.
Well, there you go. Any team I'm a part of will score points.
See, so now you can say that you're an NSL champ. You are the winningest player in NSL history, and that's all you have to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyone would be lucky to have you.
Oh, fingers crossed. Hopefully that comes with a little bit more pay next year.
All right. Well, Simon, we're all working hard to make sure that happens. But again, really appreciate your time. Anyway, last question. What are you doing this summer? What are the plans? Give us something good.
I haven't decided. I'm probably going to have a week off when I get back, and then I'm actually in a hibernation for 2 weeks and lose some weight and get a bit fitter.
You're going to lose some weight. I feel like you look pretty.
Yeah,
I've
got a little bit extra chub on the bone. So I think I need to be, if this is going to be what I want to do, I've got to go kind of internalize a little bit more. It's all well and good doing all the hard work around people, but you need to be able to do it on your own. So I think I'm going to go hide for 2-3 weeks and just get fit.
I love that. All right. Well, okay. Oh, the other thing we didn't even get to talk about is Nick Flick squash. So hopefully you during your hibernation you think of some more Nick Flick squash. Because that's like the best.
That's we'll work on that. Sorry, there's a fly trying to take me out. We'll work on Nick Flick's. I'll still go over see the boys and stuff. I'll do the odd training session there, so that Rob can keep track of what I'm doing. But I think it's a conversation with me and him this summer to just kind of be like, I have to go and do something extra. If I'm not doing it, then it's probably not the right thing for me. But I'm fully committed to doing that. So I will definitely be making wavelengths on NSL and PSA next year.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, Mr. NSL champ and winningest NSL player in history, Simon Herbert, thank you for your time.
Cheers, BG.
All right, brother. Thank you to Simon Herbert for taking that while live at the DC Inferno Party House. It sounds like Chicago and DC celebrated the right way. And I'm sure you'll see in the interview if you watch on YouTube, Simon has a bunch of those DC Inferno tattoos.
Well, I guess it was lucky, that he was, supporting the right team going into the final.
Yeah.
He was actually cheering for them the whole time.
Well,
he was there.
He just wanted Sono to lose because Sono had too many fans. We talked about that in the interview.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't see your interview yet, so.
Yeah. But Spencer, let's wrap it up here. We are done. The NSL season. This is the last episode of the NSL podcast. I think. Is there anything you want to say? Anything to wrap it up?
I want to say thank you to you, BG, for putting so much time and effort into this podcast this season. We couldn't have done it without the time and effort that you put in. Going through the match tapes, going through the stats. I mean, I still think it's incredible how you can remember all of these stats because I sure as heck cannot.
You have a lot going on.
So
you have more important things to worry about than the stats.
Obviously, it's great. It's been awesome doing this podcast. I hope we can continue to build on it. Thank you to the Dakota studio. Thank you to all the people at Dakota, Roberto, Genevieve, for putting up with us throughout the season, giving us extra time on the podcast when we go off on tangents. I think it's important to say a big thank you to them. Yeah. And then thank you to all of our NSL supporters. Thank you to our stakeholders. Thank you to our sponsors. Dakota, our presenting sponsor, of course. We're so supportive of the league this season. We hope to continue doing more with them going forwards. To Sunrise Courts, M4 Squash, Mira Wine, official wine supplier, 26 Diamond, all of our sponsors, who supported us this season. It's not possible to do without them. So
it takes a village. And again, I will also echo Dakota, the Dakota team, Roberto, Genevieve, Guy, everybody so supportive of us and what we're trying to do. And it's funny, when you look at Dakota, they started similarly. It was not a garage business per se, but they started 2006, a long time ago, and they're obviously on an amazing trajectory right now. So for those in the financial world, give Dakota a look. Look at what they're doing because they're not only the great networkers, but they're a data company now, and what they're doing and how they're changing the game and how they've evolved is something that I hope the National Squash League does as we go on. In just our short 3 years, it's unbelievable the amount of talent that we have. It's unbelievable the quality of events that we're producing, the fans that are growing on both YouTube and Instagram, and that is a credit as always to you, Timmy, and Fernando. But now there's little other people, Jamie Ruggiero, Ashby Howard, we talked about, Ryan Leslie, giving his time, Hope and Steve Johnson, the refs. There's so many people to thank. We've already run over our time here at Dakota. Thank God it's our last episode, so they'll forget about this by the end of the year. But cannot say enough good things about Dakota. Cannot say enough nice things about you, Spencer. how your job as first year as CEO was amazing, and you couldn't have designed. I know you scripted the finals. You really couldn't have written it any better. I'm really, I don't know what they teach you at Yale, but they really did some good.
Well, we're gonna have to
writing
get new script writers in next season too to keep things interesting, So we'll put some work into that in the off season.
All right. Well, awesome. Well, so plenty more to follow. News will trickle out about next season, about players, things like that. So make sure you're following us on Instagram at NSL Sport, YouTube. Catch the stream. I think the men's finals at 6,000 right now. So a lot of people catching the stream. But that is officially the wrap of the 2026 NSL season. I personally cannot wait for 2026, 2027, and it wouldn't be right if I didn't end by saying I'm already predicting a Philadelphia Lightning win next year. So until then, until next year, everybody have a great summer, and we'll see you then.